a general spot that they would like to take control of. Sosnovka, very standard. You've got Footballist over in Nova, Airwolf dropping directly onto the military base itself, RQ taking control over here in Pmgc. So, day one, match one, the final begins here, and it will end in 4 days, and we will crown a victor.
There we go. RRQ, they've dropped down right into the middle of things. 4 AM over in Yasnaya.
So RRQ, like you say, just playing it chill for the time being. 4 AM obviously over in that Yasnaya position. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to actually make it into the circle here. They will have to battering ram their way through a fair few teams coming into this one. Secret Jin and Team Secret, the sister teams here. Obviously Secret Jin taking a little bit more precedent here than Team Secret proper. They managed to take that 6th place in the league stage, doing fantastically well towards the end. Abrupt Slayers, a little bit more off the radar, and they're playing it chilled out down towards Gatka, hiding out in the fields. They had some better games towards the end. We were talking with Leon, in fact, asking him, well, what needs to be changed here? And he was saying, look, we just need to be a bit more aggressive. Once we get the momentum on board, things are fine. Look, you only have 4 days here. You don't have 4 weeks to try and get something going. The engine needs to be started. It needs to be started now.
Absolutely. Na'Vi, they dropped out early. They grabbed vehicles. They like to drop into North George. That's their stomping ground, as it has been over the last couple of months, certainly. They're going to be able to split there, and with the circle the way it is, they'll be okay. They should think about where they're going to be rotating, most likely to the compound in the foothills of Everest, just on the eastern edge, on that northern side. They're probably going to be looking to control that sort of area of the map moving forwards. It just depends on how fast they can loot, and will someone get there first?
Like you say, that part of the map, extremely important in terms of scouting potential and just purely positional advantage, right? It gives you so much availability of cover and able to get out of a fight very quickly, because you can quickly put a block between yourselves.
Looks like Gonzo might be in a spot of bother right now. Wow. Sat outside right next to Zeus. Have they spotted him? I'm not entirely sure they have just yet.
He's in an odd spot, that's for sure. I mean, Gonzo has been one of the major players from Canina Power.
Ooh, he's just biding his time. The rest of his squad not quite nearby. I think they've spotted out certainly another team. I'm not sure which team. I think they might be looking at Bigatron there, just to the southwestern side of them. They're currently holed up just to the southwestern edge. Oh no, he's caught Eggley. We'll get the knock, we'll get the knock. Goes for Icy, gets 2. Looks for another one, hits the drop shot. Godless, you need to find it. Finally able to shut him down, but at the cost of a player, at the cost of a knock. It is first blood drawn, goes over to Canina Power, but it's echoed by Zeus.
Goodness me, you thought there was a moment there where Gonzo gets the 3rd. Godless was completely disorientated in that moment. Walking forward, it's like, what's happening? My team's dying around me. And it was just one singular player in Gonzo. This guy has some absolute chops on the guy. The rest of Canina Power, however, they weren't with him. The IGL of the team now takes a back seat and can now almost pull out the puppet strings and see where the rest of the team would like to go going forward. But right now, they will have to slip underneath Bigatron, not a team that you really want to trifle with too early on the game, especially with only 3 players remaining.
RRQ, they've exited Pmgc, and they're scoping out towards Alpha 7, or a little bit further west of them in the hills, around that central settlement of the map that we all know and love. A couple of shots being popped off. I think that might be towards Clash Diddle Athletics at that range, all the way down on that southwestern side. Yet to cross the bridge from that military island, got Airwolf, Limax, Footballist as well, all the way over in Novo. So they're going to have to make a move pretty soon. Otherwise, they will be crunched in by that circle. That's Nova XQF actually being spotted out by RRQ there. Paraboy takes a knee. King sailing in across the fields. Tries to pop the sail, get there a little bit faster, but just... oh dear.
He's like, Paraboy, you may think I'm coming to pick you up. I am in fact just saying goodbye.
He might be trying to get another off angle to suppress fire and get the rest of the team back in, so dropping the smoke down on Paraboy. They do have a little bit of time to play with. It's first knock. They'll be okay for now.
Yeah, also because it's the first circle, a lot of teams actually have to rotate through one another to get to this place, which gives ample time for Nova XQF to try and do something about the situation. It is unfortunately fairly dire, and most likely not going to come to bear. Jimmy takes 1 shot from the DP, but he is now engaging the rest. Oh, Jimmy. Oh,
Looks to get him up. I think he's going to be able to stick it. They're both alive, but for how much longer? Suppression continues to come through from RRQ. More smokes being dropped to try and keep them safe. They have a UAS to use as cover. They could potentially just drop that down, and another player from Nova XQF into the rescue. They grab them all and get away, but will they be able to make it for the hills? G9 not going to be spraying down the UAS this time. And with a little bit less pride, Nova XQF survive all 4 of them.
Well, I know. I mean, they've surprisingly got away with that one. Nova XQF have performed a bit of a saving private Paraboy there. We're able to get him out. Some beautiful smokes. And honestly, I think the majority of that play came through from King. That off angle provided a lot of time, forced G9 into a bit of an awkward position, which meant that he was shooting the DP from quite a large range. Sends in Jimmy. G9 can't peek out too wide for fear of King within the forests, and they're able to make it happen. And now they have a very central position within the circle and a nice compound that they scouted out earlier, which Order is currently holding down.
Regrouped back into the midst of it. Footballists, they're making their cross. They move to the western bridge to contest, actually, with Aerowolf Limax on the opposite side. They're plotting their way up Solkay as the vanguard to try and get across here. Teammate coming to back him up there in the form of Rome, trying to scope out those off angles. Aerowolf Limax, the question for them is, do they want to stay and try and guard this, or do they want to push further in, try and get themselves some more real estate into these later circles?
You know, what usually happens for Aerowolf Limax is they kind of just flood out a tiny little bit outside of the bridge here, try and maintain some control towards the southern side, and then just wait it out for quite a long time. And to be honest with you, that worked out for Aerowolf Limax towards the end of the league stage. But that was all about survival. That was all about making it into the finals itself. They had to put up some decent numbers to get in there. I believe it was like 40 points a day. They needed to, 40 points a game, sorry, they need to hit on that last 3 matches to make it in. They made it quite handily. It was an astonishing performance, but they played very, very safe. They're probably not going to be afforded that same kind of safety here in this lobby with 16 teams that are all hungry for this. Wow, that's a lot of viewers, guys. We have already surpassed.
Wow. We've already jumped over that 1 million mark. Almost 3 million there.
I think it was 1.1 million for the World League, actually.
Oh, I'd have to
we hit the concurrent on. So I'd have to go back and that. We'll check that later. But that's incredible, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you.
Brilliant start, and so early into the tournament. Beautiful. Next circle pops in honor of that surpassing mark there, and it's going to shift down south. This is actually a pretty tricky circle because most of it is cut off. Military Island has some land, but it's most likely going to leave.
Yeah, it would be absolutely mental if we went back down to Sosnovka military base. So we're most likely not going to see that. So teams trying to take up position, but it does give time for footballers to just kind of hang around on this bridge. No one's going to be coming back over to Sosnovka military base. That would be ridiculous. So footballers can kind of just watch the action unfold. As we see Zuxi take some shots down towards RRQ, who are on the low ground right now. Zuxi heads to the other side, trying to apply a bit more pressure. Ernie takes another clip there.
Origami Master Zuxi unfolds things how he likes. What's the opposite of origami? I'm not entirely sure, but it's certainly going on right now. Nade over into the smoke.
That's really a good swan, that is.
Guard over to RRQ on the position, who moved south to try and get on the edge of that bridge. But footballists are yet to cross. Aerowolf Limax waiting in the wings. It's a very tricky spot for these players.
Yeah, but Na'Vi, I like this rotation. You can't see it on your screens right now, but they've headed down on the western side, leapfrog down over the yellows, all the way on the coast. And they're going to come in down towards Quarry, behind 4AM, behind Digital Athletics. And this is something that we saw them do a lot. We wanted them to stop taking fights so early in the game, as it proved fatal for them later on. Now they have 4 players remaining. 10 minutes 48 into the match. This is good.
The issue for them will be Quarry as a feature in the terrain, right? They have to either go south or north of it. It's going to be very difficult to move past it. The benefit they have, of course, though, is that the plane path started northeast, ended a little bit far away from that western edge, which means it's unlikely that there are going to be a lot of teams in this sort of area of the map. So it's a nice little spot for them. It's difficult terrain to manage, but hopefully they'll be able to get a little bit of respite for it.
It is smart, like you say, especially with the plane path we saw early. They have just swung all the way over the anti-clockwise terrain here to make it down, so they can be pretty comfortable, just like footballers currently are hiding out on the bridge. But you would imagine that Aerowolf, RQ would know of their presence at this point. They're far too busy with the other teams that are surrounding them within this circle. We've got Abrupt Slayers on our screen right now, just holding down a compound. They have a fair few vehicles for themselves, 4 in total, with all wheels still on board, keeping them very safe behind this building for the time being.
Everyone now moved central. They've made that shift. Only 2 casualties so far, almost 12 minutes into this first game blank, and that was that initial combat between Gonzo in the compound with Zeus.
Yes.
Able to strike out towards the gods. But
with Gonzo himself.
He's Gonzo, mate.
He is Gonzo. He took a couple down with him, though. Fantastic stuff from him.
A little bit of damage, but will they be paying the price here for it, right? Because they're on the eastern side. They might find it tricky to move on through. Zeus at the moment still being guarded out. Kanina Power. They've moved somewhere.
They're up top.
They've gone for a big rotation.
They actually haven't gone for a massive rotation. They've come from Milta towards Pachinki and just headed down from school side. I don't mind this too much, mainly they've come this way because of the hills that are available to them. Next circle pops. Head pretty hard down to the southwest here towards Quarry, that feature you mentioned early. And Nova XQF, they are on the move. They'll be crashing directly into Class Digital Athletics.
Okay, it looks like Ray-Z gets first strike, but the bullets are thick and fast, back straight at him. Jimmy behind the corner, low HP,
Silas.
One knock traded off. Selim on the off angle, Solus, Silas, all moving in. Beautifully orchestrated for Class Digital Athletics right now, as 2 players from Nova XQF have dropped. For the cost of 1, Ray-Z low, down on bended knee. Selim up into the window to go for the res. Jimmy getting flushed. 3 players from Nova XQF are down. Only 1 remains. And it's unlikely that they're going to be able to get the res here.
It is a wild crash here, but you can understand why Nova XQF did it. They had to get into position. Unfortunately for them, Clans Digital Athletics are already here with the 3 players with S's in their name, and it's a triple S performance from them to hold down this compound. And now King has to leave. Can King Cobra start to snake it out later on this game? We'll find out if Silas can hit these shots.
Oh, the spray, half HP for King. Reload comes through. The rest of Class Digital Athletics continue. The suppression, and there's so few ways for him to be able to get away from this. It's disaster for King, but he is still alive. We'll see how much further they can go. The circle with the shift southwest. Na'Vi circle, anyone? Let's take a look up at the northeastern edge. The moment you got Alpha 7, you got Team Secret, you got Zeus, Kanina Power, all moving.
Yeah, Bigatron app also have to come through. They know the position of RQ. Footballers have made their way across the bridge now. This is important for them. There's a fight currently going down. Airwolf and Power 888. This is the wall that Power 888 need to bust through at the moment if they want to make their way into this circle.
Oh, Gooey goes down there to a spray. Close up is Corpai as well, who's on bended knee. TTT will fall, and now it's just ice left in the back lines for Power 888. Reduced to 1. And I have to try and strike out further. Them and Nova XQF now on their last legs.
Potato on the prowl. TTT sure to go down. Ice in the background, just wants to make this one through. You mentioned Na'Vi, what a godly position they have on the coastal side. All they have to do now is worry about the 180 to the north. This is probably what's going to be the most worrisome for them going forward. They have a really nice position, and it's open ground coming into their terrain. They're really, really looking towards this next circle to decide what they want to do next. Super Una, grenade in hand, A1. You want to be terrified of one like that.
Oh, is it going to find any damage? Not quite. Suppressing them, actually pushing them forwards a little bit closer to Super Una's spot. And the northeastern edge, there was a big conflict between Team Secret and Alpha 7 that Alpha 7 categorically came out the victors of. 1 player now remaining for Team Secret. That's on that northeastern edge. Mad Toy survives. Circle pops, and it goes pretty central.
Let's go pretty central right now. Na'Vi can be safe. They pretty much go directly a loot box on their heads. But the main point of contention is up towards the northern side. King currently in his warehouse, and about 5 other teams in this area all vying for position. But the eastern push is going to be gross watching it going forward. Kanina Power rushing their way through the roadside whilst all these teams are locked in combat currently.
4 angry men have just spread out on this western edge and just chilling right now. One of their players is knocked, but they should be able to get the res. They are completely open for business right now. Ooh, Potato takes a little bit of damage. Ooh. Some knocks coming through over to Kanina Power. Remember, they've lost a player early, so it's just Axa remaining, looking for the res onto Black White. Frozen's low and bleeding out. Kanina Power, they're on the southern edge. They're in the circle, but with only the shack to protect them, it's not the best of spots.
I believe that was a bit of martyrdom there, actually, with the nade dropped to the floor as one of the players died within the shack itself. So pretty unfortunate for Kanina Power. It's not how you want to go down. Frozen also took a beating once he hit the floor.
Oh dear.
You imagine Kanina Power going down to the Warden. That's Realm. Been popped out the vehicle by Ice. Last remaining member of Power 888 just trying to make his way in. Does, in fact, have a vehicle to make this happen too.
Takes a player out of Footballist, removes a little bit of strength from the competition, will need to try and sneak through the gaps moving forwards. It's zone 4, which means the zone is survivable, but as a solo player on this eastern edge, is looking pretty shaky right now. You can see him skirting around the edge of this fight. Aerowolf maybe looking to spot him, trying to blend in with Footballist. He took down a player of Footballist, and he's like, I'm in Footballist now?
I am Footballist?
I am a Footballist player. Oh dear, that's Mad Toy being eliminated, and with it, the first team of the Pmgc finals goes down. Team Secret, not so lucky on the northern side. Alpha 7, nail in the coffin.
Secret Gen, however, keep paying it forward over on this northwest side. Praise be Mustache Dave, because 4am are big chilling over to the west. Keeping it nice and easy. We've got Hasaki as well as Svan, some absolute massive players when it comes to long-range weapons. Up on the top of Quarry, looking down onto these players. Ice finally goes down. It was a desperate attempt to get towards the middle of the field and try and get this game a little bit further for Power 888, but it's not meant to be.
Bigatron have spotted out Footballist atop the hill. They're stood in their way, and they don't really want to be in those sites. Solke, you can see him low down the hill. Lutz trying to look for that res. The heals need to come through as well. Na'Vi are just vibing right now. They're the same. Big chillin' on the western edge. They have that compound. It's nice and strong. It's actually not too hard to leave. The road cross should be okay for them if they need to move further north.
I mean, they got next day delivery on that loot box as well, which basically drops on top of their compound. So a couple of players have got a nasty weapon and some pretty jacked up supplies. Hopefully Max playing it very slow at the moment. They know that A1's in their way currently. They do not want to lose a lot of players. They perform best when they have a lot of players remaining at the end of the game. Alpha 7 taking shots towards Zeus. Zyol over on that side taking a fair few shots of his own. At the moment, with the way the terrain is currently looking, where there are some dips all over the place, most teams aren't taking too many fights.
A1, 2 players remaining for them. Parallel rotation to Aerowolf Limax. They've been locked in combat for quite a while now. The circle shift comes through. It's right on top of Na'Vi's compound, so they're looking happy. RRQ going back and forth with Bigatron as well. And all of this on the southeastern side. You said this eastern thing would get messy.
It's going to get messy here. Super Una looking to toss the grenade. Aerowolf Limax, they have to move now. They are the furthest away from the circle itself with A1. That's 6-9 down.
Oh, first pull, and Jax in the grass. Look at a spray. Halve will get taken low, but that's it. A1 are done and dusted, but a long road ahead for Aerowolf Limax.
I love that, though, from the Wolves themselves. They pull the trigger on that fight. They know they need to go. They can't hang around any longer. But Na'Vi in a great spot. King Cobra makes his way across the roadside underneath Na'Vi, using them essentially as bodyguards. If I'm 4am, I'm looking at some point, some way to try and keep an eye on this compound, but that is now King out from Nova XUF in 12th.
They are gonna be
Na'Vi, they've got the strong compound. 4M Rumen, they've got the western side of this hill ridgeline, which means that they are waiting for everybody to push their way. These two teams, absolute powerhouses in this circle.
Guy named with
D2E, I believe he actually was the one to spot out King. He'd already had the idea that King had. I was like, no, actually I came up with this first.
Footballists, they are a little bit down, but certainly not out. Solke has been knocked. But Lutz continues to put the pressure. Aerowolf Limax, this is the difficult road they had to tread in the middle of the circle. Spalv goes down, and they will be looking to push in with Potato. Kanina Power as well. They were struggling earlier on. They get peppered in the shack that they had, and now it's just black-white remaining. Out in the blue as well, getting pushed on in its zone 5, so it will start to hurt.
Yeah, you start to hear the percussion of the battlefield as we come to a crescendo here in the circles. Most teams having to push into this one. The Blue players finally move away from that compound that kept them covered on the west side from the ridge. They will have to move their way in. Secret Jin taking a little bit of a nasty fight of their own between Alpha 7 and themselves. Lutz goes down, Lovazin last remaining, and Cloud Digital Athletics making their way in. This is a team that we need to talk about. They have been on top for so long for the EMEA region. They've really made a fantastic showing in the league stage. They're paying it forward.
Finally going down there. Alpha 7 as well, they're taking the fight. They've been dominant on this northern edge right now, but Team Secret Jin giving them a little bit of a run for their money. Na'Vi continue to put the pressure out in all directions.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, Clustered Athletics are able to just bump on down anybody trying to step in. That's the Abrupt Slayers falling. On the northern side, Alpha 7 survive, but they're down to one standing. 2 players knocked. Very difficult to move on in.
G9 making his way into the circle itself. That's oh boy. Taking shots over towards G9, he will in fact go down, but RRQ, they've got insurgents absolutely everywhere on this map towards the south, off to the east now in Beer 11. Circle finally moves away from Na'Vi, and they have to start to consider how they want to make this one go forward. But 4 AM, they loom off in the distance.
Goodness me, they've stayed completely quiet for most of this game, Blank. No one has really actually encroached into any of their territory.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, D2E steps up and looks for Tixie, sprays him down on the roof. Na'Vi down to 3, reducing their power somewhat. Moving forwards, RRQ, 2 players alive. 4 Angry Men, all 4 of them still standing. And Footballist, they've managed to sneak on in right to the middle, top 5.
I mean, it's not bad. I mean, for RRQ, they've been under pressure this entire game, sending Beer 11 and D2E out wide. It was an excellent idea, in fact. I really, really like it. It means that they have a good chance to at least make it into the top 4. Na'Vi, like you said, though, with their power now slightly dwindled by the fact they just lost Tixie, going against 4 AM is looking a lot less unlikely.
4 Angry Men looking most likely to take this one home here, Blank. 88%, that's a lot of numbers. D2E will get knocked on the attempted cross there and will fall down. Lovazin has been spotted by Hasaki. And at range, we know what a monster this guy is. D2E flushed on out, just Beer 11 now standing for RRQ. 5 teams remain. How long will Lovazin last under the pressure from 4 Angry Men, from Class Digital Athletics as well?
You gotta love this from 4 AM, the way they're just moving up nice and slow. That is that sliver of the body that was so easily hit by 4 AM.
But 2 players go down in turn, and that's really going to take the wind out their sails on this northern edge. Gives Na'Vi a chance to regroup.
This is okay for 4 AM though. They have time over here. They have the vehicles available to them as well. And Digital Athletics, their broadside is completely open to Na'Vi.
Class Digital Athletics, oh, they're getting knocked quite a few times. That's Na'Vi doing so much damage, they were able to take it down.
That's 9 kills on the board for Na'Vi already. What a way to start the tournament. And Lovazin is now out.
There we go. It is Na'Vi and 4 Angry Men. Last 2 teams. We saw the positions they had. They've managed to use them here. It's 3 versus 3.
Great position here from Matic, which is still within the circle, but they need to really take advantage of this position whilst they still have it, because it's very unlikely you're going to get... it has to be the hardest shift down to the south if Na'Vi want to hold on to any of these buildings. They have to cross the road. 4 AM with so many vehicles available to them, they've got a compound of their own over here, and look at that circle. It is right on top of 4 AM.
But 4 AM, they didn't have the info. They were shooting in completely the wrong direction, and this could prove vital for Na'Vi's efforts. Oh boy, up close and personal. Needs to find a little bit of cover as Suk up the hill, over the top, trying to jump around the smoke, get a little bit of info. Nades, back and forth. Matic still on the overwatch, not going in with the team. A little bit of a dud bobble there on the nade as Meku shimmies out wide. They managed to get in the circle with Old Boy.
Well, the smokes are down, and this is more for denying vision towards 4 AM. Very smart stuff coming through from Na'Vi. And like you said, John, they took that opportunity and they just ran with it. Na'Vi can be an aggressive team when they absolutely want to. I mean, they tried to be the entirety of the first 3 weeks of the tournament, so this is kind of like second nature to them.
Matix making the push on foot across the road now, Blank. This is what the smokes were in aid of, drawing that attention away. And now Matic has a cheeky little off angle, no vehicle noise, and will get that loot crate as well.
This is so good. These mollies are targeting exactly on the trees.
Oh, look at that. That's the first knock. It's now down to a 3 versus 3. Sorry, there were 4 players from 4 Angry Men still alive in the midst of things. Meku up top, nade over his way, but it's only 98. Suk, a lot of damage sent his way. Oh boy, not quite able to get that full knock just yet. Pushes up the hill. Sparn down in the grass. They know where he is. They're trying to laser beam on. Sook suppress. Needs to heal a bit. Matic nade over the top to the back of Sparn. Sook pressure towards the rest of the squad.
Matic.
He's been spotted. And a little bit of respite as Haseki goes for that res. Over onto Shin here.
Oh dear, this is not looking good for Na'Vi. That little bit of advantage that they had accrued early has been completely taken away. Some good knocks coming through from 4am, or at least some good damage, sorry, which has held Na'Vi at bay. And you wonder how much utility they have remaining.
Oh, that's a knock. That's a nasty knock as well for Na'Vi. They're down to 2, and that's their off angle taken out of the mix. It's definitely just these 2 players now.
Things are so much more linear here for 4am going forward. Haseki goes down.
Okay.
3v2, Old Boy next, and now just 1 player remains.
Meku up the top. You said he was doing a lot of work for the squad, and now he needs to put it all on the line. 2 players in action right now, and this res will bring all 4 back for 4 angry men. The western edge was dominated by them in this circle. It moved their way, and now they're looking to put that final nail in the coffin. Sook sprays down towards Meku. The bullets start to land, but he's yet to go down, and finally they make it happen. 4 angry men take the chicken dinner.
Svan with the 3 fantastic stuff there, John.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff at the end there. 4 angry men take the first chicken dinner of the Pmgc finals. Excellent work from them. They played it cool, they played it calm, and they were able to take it home. Let's head back over to the analysts.
Well, honestly, I don't think we have it any other way, guys. They won the league.
Whatsoever right now because of the teams qualifying for this event, and they're like, you know what? Easy nice rotation. Like, it was an eastern plane path, like the circles to the west, gonna wrap around and make it through Quarry, and they had such a good spread, gathering so much information, and then the circle just kept coming their way, and they're like, well, we'll take it. Thank you very much for the win.
Yeah, it's something that
फर्स्ट नो एक्सक्यूज जीत गई। देखो उम्मीद तो मेरे को भी होती है कि नो एक्सक्यूज ही लेके जाएगी, और नो एक्सक्यूज कह रहा 4M जीत गई पहले गेम। उम्मीद तो मेरे को भी वही है कि वही जीतेगी, कोई एक चाइनीज टीम दोनों में से कोई एक ही विनर होगी।
Compound specifically next to Fairy Peel was just such a good and worth time call. and it paid off really well. Like second position, first game, that's huge.
And I do want to say something really big for Navi here too. I mean, Old Boy, we know this name back from Berlin, right? He was one of the
पैन से मारना है 20 लाइक्स देने हैं हाँ 3 वाटर ट्रीटमेंट तो नहीं होगा स्कूल एंगल हो सकता है स्कूल एंगल मिशन पूरे कर लेते हैं hello Adam Fikri, hello, how are you bro? If you're new to the stream, please like and subscribe to my channel, like this stream. We'll see. Okay, slow mode. I should make it to the 10 seconds, 17 seconds is really that's good. 10 seconds is good. I want UC. Bro, I cannot give you UC because I'm poor. Okay. भाई क्यों आ रहा है भाई मत आना भाई कहाँ जा रहे हो जाने मन? Let's go. ए भाई छोड़ दे भाई, मेरे से गलती हो गई, मेरे मुंह से निकल गई, जाने देना। हाँ अब आइयो, कहाँ है तू? हाँ भाई क्या हाल है? लेट्स गो ब्रो। हैकर बोलते हैं। अपन यहीं पे रहेगा पूरा टाइम। जिसको आने का है आए वो यहाँ पे। गाइस एक सेकंड गाइस, हमको टाइम दे दो गाइस। जाएगा इधर ही। अरे गेट वीट बंद कर दिया क्या? ये अपने घर का रास्ता बोलती पब्लिक। क्या 3x। कोहिनूर अभी रुकेगा अभी फटेगा क्या कर रहे हो बाबू ऐसा खेलोगे? ऐसा नहीं खेलने का है। प्रैक्टिस करके और ये ओके। भाई गाड़ी वीड़ी कहाँ लगा के चला गया? भाई तो हमारा मस्त लेटा हुआ है भाई ओपन में। खाना चिकन आ गया बॉयज, लेट्स गो। आओ भाई तुम ओपन पे आओ। चल हट बे, चल हट बहन की लोड़ी, चल हट बहन की लोड़ी। Be on top boys. हेलो।
हाँ। अरे मैं डो खेल रहा था।
डुआ पुश कर
अरे
रहा
नहीं
है।
नहीं तुम लोग खेलो। अरे नहीं तुम लोग खेलो, मैं आती हूँ। टट्टा।
बाय बाय बाय।
बाय बाय।
पहले बोलती है आना डो खेलने, मैं बोला मैं बाहर हूँ। बोलती एक मैच
वाह।
खेल, मैं बोला
कोई
कि
है तो
हाँ
बुला,
चल ठीक है।
नहीं तो फिर खेलते बाद में, और क्या।
अबे बैटरी भी रुक, चार्ज में लगा खेलना पड़ेगा।
कोई है तो बुला, नहीं तो रहने दे अभी।
किधर?
क्या किधर? मैं कह रहा हूँ कोई है तो बुला खेलने के लिए, ढंग का बंदा।
ढंग के लौड़े लोग है ही नहीं इसमें, जाटू जाटू लोग हैं मेरे पास।
तो फिर बाद में खेलना।
ये क्या कह रहा है? हाँ भाई, ये क्या हाथ में लंड पकड़ के खड़ा है?
एक मिनट, हेडफोन लगा लो।
भाई अरे उससे क्या आवाज आ रही है आकाश?
क्या? हाँ।
ओ बहन जो पता चल रहा भाई, एकदम ज्यादा ही
थोड़ा,
तेज हो
अब
गया।
थोड़ा ज़्यादा साउंड है ना पहले से, पहले बहुत लाइट आता था।
अरे पहले है ना, मतलब इतना चुभता था, अब चुभ नहीं रहा है। साउंड है ना, मेरे को कानों में चुभ नहीं रहा है।
अच्छा, चलो बढ़िया फिर
पहले
तो।
जब अगर मैं, हाँ पहले मैं एकेएम चलाता था ना, कानों की माँ चुभ जाती थी। अभी तो भाई मतलब कितने पे रख के खेलना रहता है ना, उतने पे रख के खेल सकते हैं अभी, ऐसा है।
बढ़िया बढ़िया।
पहले तो मैं ये सोचता था
हाँ
गन
अब
का
बोल
साउंड
फिर,
कैसे कम।
कि क्या कह रहा था एकेएम का? क्या फिर से बोल एक बार।
अरे वो आईफोन में इसने कुछ करवाया तो भाई एकदम गन के साउंड एकदम सही आ रहे, मतलब इतना कान में चुभ नहीं रहा गन का साउंड, बस बंदों का फुट स्टेप और वो सब बढ़ गया, और गन का साउंड एकदम हल्का
क्या
सा वो हो
करवाया
रहा है।
भाई ऐसा भी?
क्या मालूम, मुझे नहीं पता।
ऑडियो विजुअल में जाके।
अच्छा सुन विक्की, मैं तेरे से ना अगले महीने जब मैं आऊंगा ना वहाँ पे, क्या बोलते, 3 फरवरी को,
हाँ
अगर मिलना रहा तो ठीक है, नहीं तो फिर तो मेरे को वैसे ही डाल दियो, मतलब यूएसटी जब मैं उधर
फरवरी
पहुंचूंगा
को
ना तीन
भोसड़ी के
चार
मैं
को
दिल्ली जा रहा हूँ।
कब जा रहा है?
फरवरी। कितनी फरवरी को? मैं देखो तो 5 को पहुंचूंगा मोस्ट प्रोबेबली।
मैं 20 को।
20 फेब को
फिर से
पाँच
बोल,
दिल्ली
को
आ
क्या
रहा
कर
आना
रहा
है?
है?
तू?
ये मैंने साल,
हाँ
नहीं
तू
नहीं
तो यहीं
5 को
रहता हो ना
निकलूंगा
भाई।
या 6 को निकलूंगा,
हाँ
5 या 6 को निकलूंगा यहाँ से।
अच्छा
यार
अच्छा।
इधर से फ्लाइट ही नहीं मिल रही साली, क्या बोलते हैं, श्रीनगर से सिंगल फ्लाइट मिल नहीं रही,
उससे आ
तो
जाना,
फिर मेरे को अमृतसर से लेनी
यहाँ
पड़ेगी।
तक सुन सुन
हाँ
सुन, यहाँ तक आ जा, इधर देहरादून तक आ जा, वहां से मिल जाएगा।
मिल तो जाएगा, क्या करूँ।
अभी बुक
देहरादून
कर देना।
मेरे को दूर पड़ेगा ना। नहीं बुक तो कर दिया यार ऑलरेडी, लेकिन अमृतसर से कर दिया अभी, यहाँ वाली मिल नहीं रही थी।
चूतिए।
नहीं नहीं वो फिर वो सीधा यार, अच्छी वाली मिल गई ना जगह के पास वाली, तो क्या दिक्कत है ज्यादा दूर जाने की।
जो भी है
मैंने
आजा
देखी भी नहीं
तू,
अभी तो।
आजा कॉल कर, मैं आता हूँ फिर। कहाँ पे हो लेने? गाड़ी नहीं रहेगा
हाँ
भाई मेरे पास, राजकोट तक मैं बाइक लेके नहीं आऊंगा, बहुत ठंडी लगती है।
अबे मैंने भोसड़ी के, मेरा भाई रहता है वहां पे अभी, मैं उस घर में भाई तो रह रहा है, वहां जाएगा लेने।
हाँ कार से, कार नहीं,
वैसे
मम्मी
मिल लूं।
मारेगी, वेंचर सिटी के बाहर नहीं जाने देती मम्मी कार से।
आइयो भी मत साले इतनी दूर, मेरे को तो बहुत दूर पड़ेगा। मेरे को तो, मेरा यहाँ से तो क्या बोलते हैं, तेरा घर उल्टा मेरा, मेरे से भी 50 किलोमीटर तो होगा यार विक्की, है ना, राजकोट।
नहीं
मेरे को तो और उल्टा 50 किलोमीटर। अरे बुलाना शुभ को या किसी को खेलते हैं।
शुभू शुभू तो
यही
गंड
कहा
वाला है
था।
भाई, पता नहीं कहाँ भाग गया।
क्या हुआ?
पता नहीं उसका बैटरी बैटरी, रुक आस्था को बोलाता हूँ।
तेरी फ्रेंड नहीं है? रात को मैं इसके साथ डिस्कॉर्ड पे बात कर रहा था, मैंने उसको कहा फोटो भेजना अपनी, इसने कहा लंडे जैसी लड़की की फोटो भेज दी मैं। इसकी नहीं थी वो। मुझे कहते हैं कि अरे आपको
आईडी
खेलना तो खेलो, ये हमारे पास बकचोदी
आईडी
के लिए
लिख,
टाइम नहीं है।
आईडी लिखा, आईडी लिखा,
हाँ
आईडी
लिखवा।
533
हम्म
232। तू भी लिख आकाश।
मैं क्या करूँगा लिख के।
533 232 1275। इसे देख,
देखी हुई है मैंने कहीं पे तो।
ये भी अहमदाबाद की है लौड़े। तो गुजराती बहन की लौड़ी इधर ही भरी है पबजी में।
एक तो ना विकी, इधर तमिल की लड़की थी, मैरिड थी भाई, बहुत ही ज्यादा सुंदर थी। उसका पति पता है कितना चूतिया था, मोटा सा
भाई
चश्मा
वो
पहना
तो
हुआ है, वही ना, सरकारी नौकरी का भाई। हाँ
देखा है मैंने।
बोल बोल क्या कह रहा था?
भाई मुझे भी सरकारी नौकरी करनी है।
लैंड नहीं मिलेगी, भोसड़ी के जनरल है ना
माल तो
तेरा।
माल तो तगड़ा मिलेगा।
तेरे को क्या बोलते, जनरल है ना विकी।
हाँ।
जलोड़ा नहीं मिलता सरकारी नौकरी तो।
भाई 4M पहला गेम जीत गई 24 पॉइंट।
हमारे यहाँ 4 है। अच्छा तो खेला तो बुलाओ किसी को, लड़का है।
लड़कियां मस्त ओ भाई।
हाँ बोलना विकी, क्या कह रहा है?
अरे ये पुश कर रहे भाई, तू बुट के में छुदवा देगा सबको।
नहीं मैं देख, मैं क्या बोलते केडी पुश कर रहा हूँ, अगर ये केडी पुश करेगा तो मुझे दिक्कत नहीं है मुझे कोई।
लौड़ा ले ले, कीड़ी पुश करेगा।
भाई हाँ।
कीड़ी पुश करके कहाँ जाना है तेरे को? इसने रैंक पुश किया है, कीड़ी देख अपने आप बढ़ गया। मैंने
रैंक
भी
पुश
रैंक
में
पुश
केडी
किया
तो
है,
बढ़ ही
कीड़ी
जाता
देख।
भाई।
मेरा भाई 2 से 3 हो गया, अभी 4 हो जाएगा।
हो जाएगा 4 तो। 4 कोई बड़ी बात थोड़ी ना है। 4 तो इजीली मेंटेन होनी चाहिए भाई, जिस हिसाब से खेलते हैं हम लोग।
वो भी मर भी जाते हैं ना, मस्ती बहुत ज्यादा है हमारे में।
चल अभी तू खेल रहा है ना? खेल रहा है ना विक्की
खेल
अभी?
तो रहा हूँ।
मैंने चश्मा बनाया विक्की, पता है वो।
क्या कह रहा है?
मैं कह रहा हूँ चश्मा बना विक्की। अरे मैं सीरियसली तेरे को ना सजेस्ट करूंगा, चश्मा बना ले भाई। मेरे को क्या बोलते हैं, कल से बिल्कुल भी सिर में दर्द नहीं हो रही है, आंखों की वजह से ही होती थी सिर में दर्द। थोड़ा देख
मुझे
कॉस्टली तो
तो नहीं
होता ही
होता
है।
सिर में दर्द।
अरे नजरें खराब हो जाएंगी जितना पबजी हम लोग खेलते हैं। फिर तू टीवी भी देखता ही होगा।
नहीं देखता हूँ मैं टीवी लैपटॉप, कुछ नहीं देखता हूँ। मैं सिर्फ मोबाइल और आंखें बंद हो जाती है मेरी, सो जाता हूँ मैं।
सेम।
हाँ। और मेरे भाई मोबाइल में
मैं
ना
खुद नहीं
ब्राइट
देखता
फिल्टर
टीवी।
इतना हाई कर रखा है ना मैंने, पूरा पीला पीला दिखता है।
हाँ
हाँ आईफोन का। लंड खराब होगा मेरा।
ग्राफिक सेटिंग्स क्या करी हुई है तूने
क्या?
इसमें? ग्राफिक सेटिंग
मेरा
स्मूथ, एक्सट्रीम, क्लासिक है, कलरफुल है, क्या है?
मेरा क्लासिक है।
अरे कलरफुल करना थोड़े।
मैच उठ जाती है, हट कलरफुल से ज्यादा लैग मारता है।
थोड़ी होता है।
हाँ भाई, ट्राई कर लियो तू।
ब्राइटनेस
रेंडर
कितनी
कम
कर रखी
मारेगा
है?
मेरा
देख
तो
क्लासिक में।
ब्राइटनेस कितनी कर रखी है?
ब्राइटनेस ब्राइटनेस है पूरी 150। वो 150 इसलिए कर रखी है क्योंकि वो आईफोन गर्म होके साला खुद ही कम हो जाती है। इसलिए फिर उसको फुल ही
हाँ
रैंक
भाई,
चाहिए
आईफोन का भाई
ताकि
चूतिया फीचर लगता है मेरे को, साला ना फोन की ब्राइटनेस कम कर देता है ये।
हाँ बड़ा वाला बहुत हरामी भाई। ये छोटे छोटे बच्चे बेंचुत खेलते हैं भाई, इन बहन के लोड़े में भाई 10 राउंड में 102 बंदे मार दिए इसने।
क्या नाम है?
वोल्केनिक बेंचुत 15 साल का ही है, इस पे खेलता है आईफोन एक्सआर पे। बेंचुत 10 राउंड में 102 बंदे मार दिए भाई, 8 का केडी है।
क्या बात है भाई।
बजाता होगा भाई सबको ये।
10 में 102 मार दे तो 10 की केडी होगी ना।
मरा भी तो है ना ये।
तू छोटे वाले की की बात कर रहा है क्या?
नहीं छोटी तो है भाई, छोटी तो कितनी 12 है।
तो बड़ी तो किल पर मैच तो 10 ही हो गया ना, 10 में 102 है तो।
चूतड़ा है ये भोसड़ी का, कुछ भी बोल रहा है।
अरे लवड़े ले आईडी ले मदर चोद।
माँ चुदा है यार,
अबे ओआर भी अभी
क्या करना।
भाई ये हैकर है क्या?
माँ चुदा है होगा भी तो।
डायमंड 2
चल तू लगा ना।
कल अबे सुबह प्लेटिनम पे था।
सुन सुन, एक मेरा मन लगा, थोड़ा ना सेफ स्टार्ट करेंगे यार, मेरे को भी थोड़ा सा।
भाई ये कर रहा है रैंक पुश, चोद लिख आईडी लिख।
अरे छोड़ यार।
चल मैं थोड़ी देर तक आता, आधे घंटे तक आता मैं।
क्या?
आधे घंटे तक आता मैं।
मैं थोड़ा स्टॉक बाजी कर रहा हूँ।
ठीक।
And we'll see what happens here on Miramar. Now, we did do a little bit of analysis before, which divulged into the Fantastic Four. But now we want to talk more about the Fantastic 4M, which is really important here, just because of what a strong showing to start the tournament already. Coming from the league stage, having just ridiculous numbers. I think they were 40 points ahead purely in kill points alone. From the second place team, which was Bigatron, which is a ridiculous number, by the way. I think most of the teams were barely even scraping like 20 ahead of one another towards that top side of the table. So really, really good stuff from 4M, and they really do put in those works towards the end of the game. Now, if you looked at their points, there's actually quite a few times where, you know, they don't have these massive games where they're getting 20 kills. Sure, they've had them, but the majority of their kill points just come through from consistency, continuing to put up those 4 kill point games, 5 kill point games, which happen every other game for these guys, it seems. But we will be getting into the match very soon, see if they can continue to do that, if anyone else can rise to the occasion. I think one of the things that I'm most looking forward to seeing, John, is there any more teams that can step up? Are there any teams in your mind that you think can do that here at the finals?
Well, it depends what you mean by step up, right? It depends what you mean by
stepping up, like they step up,
right? But is it a team that hasn't had that glory before, or a team that has?
Yeah, because currently they're on the step down. So if they're going to step up, who would it be?
But well, NoVerSchef did take a step down, certainly in that last game, and they are hopefully going to step up into this one. We'll see if it's going to be to the streets, but I think A1 actually has some decent chops to them in terms of moving into these games. We've seen actually them have some strong days.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate that they weren't able to continue to push up forwards. They do. In fact, they were one of the very few teams that showed that blood can be drawn from BTR as they tried to make those rotations. So proving to be a difficult force to be dealt with. I hope they'll be able to have some better games moving forward for A1.
Yeah, they dealt some pretty awful blows to Bigatron on Sandhawk. Now, I said I hate them, but honestly, I didn't say I hate them, but I said that
you said
A1,
that. Blank said he hates A1.
What?
Oh, no.
It's what I mean to say is it is all fun and games at the end of the day. There's a lot of money on the line, but there is some incredible sportsmanship. And, you know, just from being here on day one and seeing the players all safely at social distance, just having fun with the other players at the hotel was really nice. They all seemed very, very happy to see one another, and there seemed to be some very, very nice friendships that were formed as this tournament has gone on between teams, which is lovely to see. You can see 4am here, as I said, well, last time we were doing this segment, heading up towards Torre Ahumada and Tierra Blanca. So they're probably going to head up towards that side. Depending on the circle, they might head up to Campo Militar, try and pick up some high-quality loot from that area.
Splitting out, it's quite a northern plain and a southwestern shift as well. The hills around Chumacera, notorious. We've talked about it quite a lot, Blank, in the previous games that we've casted, but it's a very, very difficult area of terrain to navigate. It's so volatile as well in terms of where those shifts come through on the smaller scale.
I think that when you go down here, you kind of are at that point kind of committing to that area, which is a lot of times what makes the difficulty for a lot of these teams that do head down towards the south side of this map. You're kind of there for the long haul, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, Secret Jin though, over to the east side, holding it down. They're going to try and see if they can catch out any teams that want to rotate on the eastern road, which seems to be very, very much hotly contested for a lot of these matches we do have on Miramar. But here we are into match number 2 already, John.
Making it happen just a little bit at a time, but we will keep on moving forward until all 24 are played out. There are the overall rankings: 21 points for Na'Vi, 24 for 400 men. A very, very high scoring game towards the top of those tables. Na'Vi, they're in La Cobreria, over in the northern throes of this map. They're going to want to look to rotate. The standard rotation that they do here is actually just all the way down to the western side of El Pozo, along that road on the western coast. And they should, I say coast, on the western edge of the map. It's not on the coastline. Should definitely get that right, Blank. That's mountains, not water.
Good deal, John. You know, what's interesting, though, about this is that Zeus are in El Azahar. Now, a lot of times, RRQ stumbled towards Minas del Valle and Chumacera because Zeus got in their way, as well as Na'Vi. So you had this trio of teams that were causing problems to one another. This time, RRQ comfortably in El Pozo. Shouldn't have to move too much, especially with the way the circle is currently looking. Class Digital Athletics towards Power Grid. Nice little split here from them, just gathering as much information as they can.
Alpha 7 in Montenuevo as well. They're pretty central onto this circle. Not going to have to move too much, and actually will probably be one of the teams stopping the northern set of rotations coming through down into those Chumacera hills. They'll be looking out to their western side, and quite a lot of teams will probably be focused there, but you're only going to have 1, maybe 2 teams be able to make it through that gap. The question is, how much more can Alpha 7 guard out? They had a really strong game on that northern side of the Erringo. We didn't see too much of them on screen, but they did a lot of work on that edge, and certainly opening the tournament with a good record for themselves. On the eastern side, could prove to be a little bit more open.
Let's take a quick look at Alpha 7 here on their roster. Just make sure I'm still correct. If I can find them on the map. Yeah, when they come back on, there's one player that I want to talk about in particular, just see if he's in the game here right now. But we have Footballist on our screen, Solke there. This guy really stepped up in terms of performances in IGL. He was like bringing the fragging power. He was also bringing those great calls for the team, and Lutz backing up with those incredible long-range shots from a lot of the DMRs that he was incorporating into his own playstyle. Yes, Alpha 7 Mafioso on this team. Previously Ace 1. Now Ace 1 was a team in PMPL Americas that, you know, they really struggled until the end. But by struggled, I don't mean in the bad way. They really kept it going as much as possible. They never gave in. They never gave up. And honestly, it was a case where they were so close to these chicken dinners so many times they just weren't able to fully grasp it. Mafioso, fantastic player from that team, and I'm glad he's been given a chance here for Alpha 7 in the PMGC finals.
A1 and Canina Power very close to each other in Los Leones, but we know it's such a big settlement, you can comfortably loot 2 squads there. And they will be just fine. Looks like Airwolf Limax have sent a player down south early. Potato moving out from over in the ruins on the northwestern side to the western side of El Pozo. RRQ as well, just about to leave. And that should be spotted out by Potato if he's got his wits about him. They're all in vehicles, so the rest of Aerowolf Limax have a little bit more intel in terms of that rotation. You see them on your screens right now. They're getting in the party bus.
Yeah, I think if we look back to the league stage as well, Potato with that 1v3 onto RRQ on Sandhog. What a horrific time that was for RRQ themselves, where they had such a good position going forward. It was all flummoxed by one player on Aerowolf. Slightly unfortunate there, but they will just get out of dodge nice and quickly. But like I said, that's a bit of information. You can see them leave. Now they know that El Pozo is open. They kind of make a campsite here and look to where they would like to head off to next.
Golden Mirado, 4 power, 888 on the northeastern side. They are just in this next circle, but they might want to move a little bit further central. Nova XQF on the eastern side, just out to the west of La Bandita, north of Los Leones. They have the hillside. They are, again, in the circle, yet to move further in. 4 Angry Men all the way out in the northeast, a little bit slow to the party to move on through, but Zeus, they've cut a path down all the way to the eastern edge.
Well, 4 AM, we know they always arrive fashionably late to these circles, so no one's surprised not to see them here at the party just yet. They will make their way in later. Probably cause a bit of a fuss there. Bigatron here on this map, and I think like we've seen Bigatron create history so many times on Miramar. We saw the double twin finish. We've also seen Ryzen with pretty much the 1v4. It was more than that though, with the way that guy was playing in those final circles all by himself, crouched in a bush.
Laying down in the desert harder than it looks, Blank.
Well, yes, as I found out, which I'm sure you guys will also find out soon. There is a ridiculous image of me somewhere in Dubai.
I don't know. Don't know if they've used that clip. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. If not, I'll request it and I will share it regardless.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Well, 4 Angry Men, they've gotten into that Mirado and they will be rotating out in the blue. RRQ, they left El Pozo early. They've made their way down all the way south almost, just a bit north of Valle de Mar on that southern edge. South of Alpha 7 as well, so they're vying for the similar sort of position in those hills around Chumacetra.
So this is very standard play for a lot of these teams at the moment. Now, I think Vikendi is where things get very aggressive very quickly, and you know, I can tell you a little bit more about why we're not seeing that here on Miramar. Vikendi is very important for these teams to get a strong compound early on. On Miramar, you can kind of wait it out and use just the terrain to advantage, because a lot of it acts as its own type of cover. On Vikendi, teams are not hesitant to go, we want this compound, we know it's the winning compound, let's go, let's take it now. Here on Miramar, you're not going to see teams die until a little bit later on, because they will have studied these movements meticulously.
Maybe a little bit early for the fight between footballers in Clash of Athletics, but they will get underway. It's right in the middle, and they'll be okay for now, potentially looking to try and take this compound, but the positions that Clash of Athletics have are, well, they're getting spotted out by footballists, but they're very, very controlling over this open terrain, Blank.
Yeah, but now those off angles have been spotted out by footballists now, so they have some good control over this fight coming forward. They know which angles they need to look out for, and they can also decide whether this is a fight that they just don't want to take, which is very fair enough.
A lot of bullets being sent to the back of that UAS, but none into Lovazin. Won't land the shot just yet. Will get away with it for Footballist. They'll move along that road through Monte Nuevo, see what more they can find, what sort of cover they have. Bigatron on the southeastern side. A lot of teams moving in this location. You could see Abrupt Slayers down further to their south. And I think you might even have Nova XQF on the east of those guys as well. So we'll see what these guys have to put up.
It's a rough circle, and by rough I mean that quite literally. The terrain is so difficult to play around. There's a lot of divots here and there, a lot of mountainous terrain that these teams have to actually make their way through. Aerowolf Limax found a really good compound dot towards the southwest side, right on the ridge itself. We'll be able to get a lot of information going forward. Na'Vi trying to make their way down here as well, but they'll have to contest with them. Another team that I'm worried about for Na'Vi will be 4 AM. A lot of times Na'Vi's let 4 AM catch up to them whilst they're making this rotation, but this time Na'Vi's a little bit quicker on their feet, able to make it down before 4 AM start to take shots at them.
A lot of the central area of the zone being taken up. No one really on this northwestern edge of the road through Monte Nuevo going northeast down to southwest. And 4am, again, left alone on their own side of the circle. This is a recipe for disaster for the rest of the lobby if they allow them to remain safe there. The question is, where does the circle shift to? If it pushes 4am into the rest of the teams, it sort of evens the playing field. But even if it shifts onto Monte Nuevo, all of a sudden, 4 Angry Men have got one of the best spots.
Yeah, and I mean, just from that position alone that you're talking about, there is so much availability to them to just peek over the top of these little hilltops and just look down towards these teams, gather information, and it's going to be so hard to actually crash towards them. Because imagine trying to drive a party bus over that terrain. It's not happening, or at least not speed.
Paraboy landing shots over towards Dante, A1. Proving elusive for now on the knock, but a lot of damage done. This is just to the eastern edge of Chumacera for Nova XQF, who are further north than that. A1 looking to try and get the high ground.
So they currently have attained, but they're surrounded by a fair few teams at the moment. Nova XUF firmly on the eastern side. No teams behind them though, so moving into the circle with a little bit of safety going forward. They're not right on the edge of the blue either, so don't have anything breathing down their necks for the time being. 4am again split up, trying to gather as much information as possible. This also means that they control a fair bit of the terrain here. If they've scouted out towards the east, they know that now they control most of Monte Nuevo and most of the ridge side down towards the southwest. Doesn't really matter though when you get a circle like that which heads down towards the southeast, John, just north of Chumacera.
There we go. They are going to have to shift away. And this is the circle that I was talking about. If it shifts away from them, it won't be super impactful, but it levels the playing field. And even on a level playing field, 4 Angry Men are going to run you down. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
I mean, but 4am again, they're just maxing their probabilities in these games, and I'm okay with that. They're always trying to get a chance where, look, we can get the circle if we all hold in this direction, but you know, we've already scouted out this area. Why don't we try and just control 2 areas at once and then just group up later on? Salt-K goes down. Classes Athletics between these two teams. The fight is continuing to rage on here. As the rest of the team start to group up a little bit, but the shots coming down from Alpha 7 on the top side. Footballers getting crunched.
Pretty tricky spot for them. Sol-K getting knocked. Raum soon to follow. Lutz low on HP and Lobbers in. Really the only fully functioning member at the moment for Football List. Lutz does get back some HP, but now they're down to 2. Alpha 7 on the top of the hillside. They've managed to provide a windbreak for all of these teams trying to push in towards their area, towards their territory blank. They are laying their claim.
Yeah. Footballers have dipped their toes a little bit too far forward into the sea between Digital Athletics as well as Alpha 7. So they have been pinched by a lobster there.
Pretty tricky indeed. 4 Angry Men, they've gone all the way down south now. They love those wide swings. They look for the opportune position to insurge into the circle. And Na'Vi, again, will have to face off against them out towards the edge. This southern edge is looking so difficult near Chumacera.
Yeah, I mean, for Na'Vi, what they're trying to do right now is trying to figure out where they can actually get into this circle. Where's the best place to inject here? And like you say, 4M's right behind them. He's going to be causing them a lot of problems. Old Boy hanging back, as he usually does, trying to see if there's anyone, you know, stealthily creeping up on them. And it is currently 4am, so he's got to keep his eyes peeled and his head on the swivel.
Na'Vi moving on forwards. Don't know exactly where 4am are. I think they're all the way down south of Minas de Valle, still out in the blue. RRQ lost a player on the hillsides. And Secret Jin trying to play spoiler. On the northern side here, oh, this is the replay of the player getting taken down for D2E. Cosmos able to get the spray down. D2E just out in the open. Secret Jin playing a really strong spot against all of these teams in Chumacera. The question is, are they going to take the fights one at a time, or is everyone going to try and move at the same position at the same time?
You've also got to remember that these guys were right on the eastern side of the coast too, so they've actually worked their way in here. It's not been a free position that they've taken. They have made some fantastic little rotations, and it will continue to bear fruit as the circle drops on top of them. Sure, the air down to the southwest, but they have an easy position to move forward towards the center.
4 Angry Men still out in the blue. still moving their way forwards at zone 4, so those will start to hurt, will start to prove bothersome. Nova XQF on the eastern side, again trying to move on through Power 888 right now. Of course, down to 2 players. You can see them swarming over the ridgeline. Ice trying to hold face as Zeus come into contact with Kanina Power. This is on the southeastern edge, guarded by A1 as well further in, but the nades start to fly back and forth. Yol takes a little bit of damage, a lot of damage sent to Ably as well. None really responded towards Kanina Power as the bombardment continues. Godless down a little bit as well. The heals start to come through. Kanina Power hold for now, but they both have to move.
We will be wondering where Rubdini is. Unfortunately, he was not able to attend the event. So Frozen here instead for Kanina Power. Still an incredible team with Axa, Gonzo, and Black White still here holding it down. Zeus looking like they want to make a way. Axa has position on the top side. Ably here with a nade in hand. You doubt that's going to hit anything as it just swings over the top.
Ooh, not going to get any damage, as you say, Blank. 3 players left for Zeus, and they really don't want to take this fight. They don't want to reduce their strength any further. Let Kanina Power clash with A1 just over that ridgeline, and just let that fight happen. That reduces their strength. You can try and pick up something off the back of that. Na'Vi, they found themselves Aerowolf Limax right now. All 4 players alive for both of these teams.
60 moving forward. Look at how aggressive this guy likes to be. If he can pop the first kill though, get a knock, then it means the rest of Na'Vi can swarm over the tops on that one. But good of him to actually move back, and it feels like we are starting to see a little bit of this from Tixi more often, where it's more reserved, a little bit more passive, and he moves back, gives space to his team, and they can kind of figure out what they want to do next with this circle that is on board. Silas dropping down the smoke, provides him a little bit more cover, and can start to move forward using that.
Remember, of course, football is down to 2 players from their engagements earlier. Both teams are going to have to move into the circle, and it looks like Clash Digital Athletics have the better spot of this, the better end of the stick. Alpha 7 move ahead, though, and will try to guard it. Lutz being burnt on out from his cover, will get sprayed down. Beautifully done there from Silas, dropping the molly and crushing Lutz in the corner there. Lovers in, last player standing for Footballist, again down to 1. We'll see how much further they can get.
That's 4 AM taking a lot of shots. I mean, I said fashionably late, but this is looking a lot more rugged than they'd like it to be. Hazuki also down, facing off between them and Secret Jin. RRQ also in this position. 4 AM just took too long to get here.
It was such a difficult rotation for them, and they were really struggling to find an opening. However, they are still 2 players alive. They are in the circle, Blank, so they'll be okay for now. Secret Jin have taken a knock, and you've got RRQ to worry about as well. Svan isolated from his teammate. He has moved a little bit further down on the south. That's Sook not going to be able to get this res. A nice nade found. Now RRQ can start to move forwards, but they still have to deal with Secret Jin, who are playing spoiler on the northern side of Jumasera.
Next circle, about to come through. No one wants to head towards the middle, but Abrupt Slayers, they were only ones to brave this one forward with 2 loot crates right on top of them. They get a cheeky little circle here for themselves, and now all teams have to start to squeeze in towards the middle. 4 AM is now pretty much flushed out. Just the remaining player in Sook for them, the lone soldier. Power 888 Footballers both in similar positions with only 1 player remaining.
Nades roll downhill, gather speed from Alpha 7. Towards Clash Digital Athletics as well. They know the spots, they know the positions. That one landed, okay. Fair enough. Into the smokes they go. Silas trying to lead the charge with those smokes. RRQ allow Godless and Zyol to slip on by and into the circle as well. They're in an open spot. They don't want to draw attention from A1. The nade goes over the top. Ooh. A lovely nade there from RRQ. Looking to follow it up with a second, but the smoke blooms. Godless low, has been spotted. Boom goes the buggy. And with it, Zyol's hopes starting to go up in flames. Teammate down, half HP, looking to try and heal. But in comes Sukin, one hell of a tumble on the buggy, trying to survive as well. But RRQ have him in his sights, and that's Sook falling.
I mean, that was one hell of a roll, and I mean, he rolled right into RRQ, and they were happy to receive. Beer 11 from the backside of the shack. Kanina Power frozen out in the open. see how much more he can do with this one, but he's about to be put on ice.
RRQ are not afraid to split up, and that's exactly what they've done here, Blank. They're down to 3. They've left G9 in the back. They've got some beautiful pincers here, and they're controlling this open ground from what is minimal cover right now. Secret Jin clashing with Na'Vi on the exit as well. Looks like Na'Vi going very low, but Secret Jin gets... Secret Jin going down there, eliminating a team on Na'Vi. Kanina Power now join the fray against RRQ. Zeus as well, still trying to hold on.
Yeah, so much happening in this circle. It's taken so long for all these teams to make a move. No one wants to head out into this open ground, find themselves a position, maybe watch another team try and carelessly walk forward. So a lot happening here, but most of it's down on the south side. Bigatron and Nova XQF quite comfortable, in fact, over towards the northeast. These guys are 100% waiting, biding their time. I don't think these South teams expected this kind of shit.
Power 888 going down. The 3 teams who finished top 3 in the last game have gone down very, very early, Blank. So we're looking to even the score lines here on the tables. Who's going to be able to surge into the lead? That's what we're here to find out. Alpha 7 still continuing to prove troublesome for anybody who dares step foot onto this hillside. But Mafioso's down and knocked. No one looking to res him just yet. Ooh. Along the side here, this is a very, very difficult fight for both of these squads. Nova XQF looking to put pressure over towards Bigatron, and the nades continue to fly. Smoke's giving the cover, but it's not hard. It will not stop the bullets. And both teams remain alive for now.
Bigatron took a huge amount of shrapnel, but the bandages were already halfway around the arms by the time they came through. King is taking a massive amount of damage, and these nades are what is coming in massively handy. These smokes might just start to dissipate very soon, and all the while, Nova XQF trying to find a better position here.
And neither of these teams are in the next circle, Blank. They're going to have to move. There is a clock on the fight, and they have to try and pull the trigger. Already, Order sending out, getting them a forward position. Bigatron might try and push, but they have the back door now. They're in the circle as well if they move to Order's spot. The question is, can they stay safe from the northern side? They'll have to wait and see. Between a rock and a hard place, do you choose Bigatron or do you choose the risky push? It might be that they can strike out towards Bigatron as Zuxi goes down, Rise and falls, and now it's Microboy and Luxy left alive. Out in the blue, Paraboy tries to get an off angle, and Nova XQF stay alive for now. Microboy takes bended knee, and one player now standing for Bigatron.
That was such a fantastic hold from Paraboy. Oh my lord, the patience on this man. He was out in the blue whilst that happened, edged the vehicle round the side, but held it down whilst the rest of his team moved up the hillside. This is one hell of a fight for Nova XQF to survive, but look at this. A1 is looking down on this team, and Order's been spotted.
Oh, he's going to get tagged up as well, but makes it behind the crate just in time. Jax back into the smoke, looking to try and keep them all alive. A1 have a really good spot here. Alpha 7 go down on the northwestern edge, and the Abrupt Slayers now playing spoiler to Clash Digital Athletics representatives and Aerowolf Limax all the way on that northwestern edge. RRQ suffering heavily, and now it's Abrupt Slayers with the only team with all 4 alive. In goes Luxy, down goes Luxy. King shuts it out, and it's Nova XQF trying to get those reses, but it's stolen away. It's pincered out, and it's A1 to try and shut it down.
Jax has to come down off this hillside. You can see him dropping the smokes now, but he's done his job. He's provided so much cover towards Sinister that he can live on for a little bit longer. But these smokes, they are going to be removed from the battlefield very soon. You see Abrupt Slayers off in the distance, but right now, Nova XQF, they're clinging on, but there's really not a lot of cover here. That is, unless you get another loot box dropped on your head.
Oh, Abrupt Slayers looking to try and swarm around Solus. They are the piranhas right now, Blank. And Solus will have to move. He'll have to get out eventually over the hillside, looking for a nade, looking for a knock, but really not going to find too much. Maybe trying to heal up a little bit, but down he goes. And that's Clash Digital Athletics eliminated 6th place for them. Zeus, RRQ still alive, but they're both out in the blue, so really non-factors into this next circle. A1 will lose yet another player, so it's just Sinister left.
Nova XQF cosplaying, Box Gaming here with the double box in front of them, but that's Abrupt Slayers to take down all the players from Nova XQF. What is happening here? So much occurs in such a short amount of time. Leon now running over the tops here.
It's just Sinister now, and Abrupt Slayers strike from the top of the hill. They run on down. Sinister looking to try and heal up, looking to get a little bit of health, maybe another point or 2 if he's lucky. Finds one onto Heaven, but gets shut down. Lickety split, and it's Abrupt Slayers to take the second chicken dinner.
And it does not get any more abrupt than that. So many teams out in the blink of an eye, John. That was incredible. Stuff here that we have not seen in such a long time, though, from Abrupt players. And this is the momentum that we needed to see. And it's what the analyst guys are surely going to talk about over on the desk, which we're going to send over to right now.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And Abrupt Slayers, I mean, Max, we were talking about this before watching the game, that we saw something similar to this on Miramar with them up against DRS during the league stage. And it's so great to see this team coming in from the Pub, coming up big here in the second game of the day.
The thing is, like, they took such a strong compound really early on, you know, like phase 1, phase 2 was pretty central, not too much of an issue, and the circle kept going their way. And you keep on saying, like, okay, maybe the circle came their way, it was given to them. They took control, which is exactly what they did, and they took control in the finishing moments. They took that win. Even though you had, like, so many one-man teams, you just did not know where the players were going to be standing. And they took it. They did it versus DRS, you know, into the league stage, that game you're actually just mentioning right there. And, you know, really it is one of their best maps in which they perform. And now also, if you look at their logo since the league stage, it has changed. You know, they smacked the Nepali flag on top of it because, like, you know, representing Nepal, they're proud boys. And you know what? They deserve it. Like, that was such a great win from them.
Yeah, let's actually take a look now at our Do the Do moments here while we talk about a couple of things, because not only were Abrupt Slayers doing well, Alvazin was left to himself yet again here, 7 for Footballers.
Yeah, snaking. Going back to snaking and just waiting and trying to get those extra points there for his team. One of the other things that I wanted to point out is Nova Esports finally being able to, after that horrible performance in game 1, being able to now come back a little bit more, being able to get kills. We also saw Paraboy starting to get hot. He ended up with 5 kills that last match. I think that's huge for that team.
Yeah, like, I think that, like, having Order in that central position was great, but unfortunately they couldn't use that position. Reason why? They were taking a 3v4 versus Bigatron that they won, by the way. 3v4, yep. That is not just a small feat. That was huge fight coming their way. But unfortunately, because Order was such in, like, a straight up, like, weird position in the center of the circle. By weird, I mean it was flat terrain, no good defensive positions, and they used all their smokes versus Bigatron. They had no way of really making their way back into the center circle to defend it. And because of that, they could just not aim for, like, no top 3, top 2 positions. They had to die eventually pretty early.
And another team that we were kind of keeping a close eye on there was 4AM, the team that won the last game. It seems like they took a little bit too long to get into the 4 circle as we're keeping an eye on them. We saw them take a little bit longer to kind of go loot as well. And then whenever they pushed it, we saw S-Man just going straight in. And we were saying, where did he go? He just disappeared into a pile of players. So it was interesting there to see I'm kind of used to seeing a late rotation from them, but I felt like it was a little bit too late for me. And I wish they would have just kind of kept on going with the blue zone. I wish they would have tried to just maybe go a different route. Obviously, we can see the map, we can kind of see what the teams are. It's a little bit different for the players, but overall, I felt like 4AM, it just took a little bit too long to get into that zone.
I mean, if we look at 4AM, though, we look at another team like Navi, who did go out really early.
Yep.
I know we're fairly early on, right? It's just the second game, but for the other teams out there, that's pretty big. With them not performing well, it really helps close any gaps that were brought up in that first initial game. So really, I'm expecting to see a new team as #1 position, but that's how volatile things will be, right, when it comes to standings very early on.
It could, like, definitely, like, for the first few games, like, especially, like, I think the entirety of today, even tomorrow potentially, like, the leaderboards are going to be all over the place. You're going to have a lot of big shifts coming on through, unless, you know, you have Pmgc like just come back and, like, no, we're going to take, you know, win on every single game that's now remaining, which, you know, Mustache Dave would be pretty happy about that one.
I'm scared. I was scared for a second. Like, did I really leak this one?
Oh.
But 7. Alpha 7.
Yes.
My lord, they are picking up kills left and right here. Game 1, I think it was like 7, 8 kills. Game 2, they get another 6 added. They are on fire.
And I think it goes a lot to show with Law. We saw him being able to scout, and now with him being the only IGL of that team, he has more command of that team. He's able to tell the team, you know what, I want you guys to move together with me. And something that I actually enjoyed seeing out of them is how close they were able to stay. Obviously not too close, not too far away, just the right distance in case one of their team players ended up getting knocked. You can go back and at least try to pick them up. Something with Alpha 7 is just they're willing to take fights this early on, and I'm loving seeing that.
But they're winning at 7. That's the thing. Taking fights is one thing, but to win out and to win it without losing a player is even more important.
Exactly. Now, something I want to see from them is we're seeing them being able to win fights, right? But would it be time to maybe just on the next match, see if you can maybe back off, see if you can maybe last a little bit longer in those circles so you can actually contend for those top 3 spots. And who knows, you might end up getting a chicken dinner because right now you guys are hot, you guys are winning the fights. it could happen.
Yeah, the 2 games in a row where they actually died is because they were staying a little bit too long on the edge of circle. You know, trying to actually aim more for positioning might actually help them out to like find closure to a lot of these games.
Yep.
We're seeing these circle pop-offs that did come in pretty big, like, you know, consequences. and I did like the fact of Bigatron here, like they moved away from Picardo really early, which in the league stage, I remember we were being really critical of Bigatron, like staying in Picardo for way too long. But
that
here
was
Bigatron,
Power
like,
they
they gave it up,
right?
and even Kanina Power gave up on Picardo. Like, we don't want to mess with Bigatron here, and they started moving a lot earlier, but unfortunately, Nova won the other side, and they got eliminated by the Nova boys in that game.
And this right here, I'm loving this picture because it kind of allows us to show you a little bit more with 4 AM. Look where they were at right there and how long they were just taking to go in. And they took a very long time to loot. And on top of that, they tried to just reach a section where there was just way too many players.
Yeah, they were going to struggle eventually in that game. Like, and you talked about the cluster of teams down south eventually in Tumasera, and when like 4 Angry Men, unfortunately having no information whatever. I don't even know how initially Spam was able to find a spot between like RRQ Athena and also Secret Jin. They gave it a shot. It worked out for some time, unfortunately not long enough, and they did go down prematurely in that game in what I believe was 15th position. So pretty early death for them indeed. But then Alpha 7, you know, talking about it once again, fragging out, but they forgot about one player, and that was Potato of Aero Wolf that basically took a 1v3 to close off the team at the end.
You gotta make sure that you're able to keep an eye on everybody. One thing that I do want to mention, and that we were kind of able to see them get, I believe it was 3rd place or 2nd place, it was A1 Esports.
Yep. Yeah.
They were able to put themselves in a position. Something that I actually enjoyed is, I believe it was between a fight between Glass and Konina Power, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there, but A1 Esports had the chance to see if maybe they could third party that, see if they could pick up some easy kills, and they decided not to. They decided to wait a little bit longer, which allowed them to secure a 3rd place. Something that I do want to see out of that team, as we're seeing more stuff here, we're seeing the ending here, is I would have loved them for them to just be able to be to take on to the fight. We saw them kind of hesitate a little bit more whether they actually wanted to take a fight with Nova Esports. We saw him trying to just single tap fire. That's not gonna work. If you see a chance to knock somebody out, just go for it. If you take a split second, anything can happen in that split second. You gotta be confident in your skills, and you gotta be willing to take on those fights.
I mean, what's so important in that last match is showing that the small team, not the small teams, like the underdogs, like Abrupt Slayers, can show up, right? For A1 coming in from Bangladesh, like to represent that country is so important for them to have so many good games. I know Imperium, a big fan of this team. Abrupt Slayers, like coming in from Nepal, massive performance. But I think for them and for other teams, like maybe Zeus here, or coming in as seen as underdogs, it shows that anyone can win these matches. You just got to play well. You shouldn't underestimate yourself when it comes to playing against the likes of 4 AM. Bigatron.
Yeah. Actually, just as you're talking about Zeus, one thing that I found really interesting is the fact that Ronin was actually one of those, like, the big fraggers of the team of Zeus initially into the league stage. I was really surprised when I learned he actually moved into the role of analyst. Now they got Godless actually, you know, filling in for his role now. So I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to be pulling out the team, not only throughout, these finals of the Pmgc for 2020, but also like throughout the remaining section of like 2021 also, because that's like from like one of the top fraggers into analyst position. Like, that means you're really also known how aggressive Ronin is. I think that overall it might be trying to push the team in a more aggressive manner that I think is maybe what Zeus were lacking a little bit in the past.
So, I don't know about you, Seven, but I am extremely surprised that we've been talking now for how long, and you haven't mentioned RRQ getting 3rd place.
I'm just savoring it. Okay, I'm just leaving it. I'm just like.
We talk about, if you guys enjoy us during league phase, Max would always talk about how RQ Athena was so good when it came to Miramar, and the second he said that, they started to lose every single time on it. So nice to see that they did do well, but you didn't mention it. But now that we have Max, you cursed them tomorrow.
I mean, you mentioned this. That means you cursed them this time.
Yeah, don't even say their name and Miramar together, Max. Don't even say anything.
I was trying to get you to say it. I mean, you guys at home, again, we talk about the prizes that you can win, or that players are winning here in the form of money. You guys still have prizes to win at home. 10 million AG and 1 million UC on the line, not to mention $150,000 if you do predict every team correctly. That'll be split across all the winners. If you're that lucky one, 150K. For watching some PUBG Mobile is not a bad way to get repaid back. But obviously, you got to get your predictions in. You got to be correct for each match for that, but be correct for other matches when it comes to winning the AG or the UC. So make sure you guys get your votes in, and make sure you guys continue to do that throughout the entire event for even more chances. But guys, going ahead into the rest of the teams we've had, Alpha 7, I'm curious to see if they're potentially going to be towards first place because of the results in that last match. And we can see here they did get themselves 6 kill points, which puts them to 14, which is actually the highest ranking team we have so far. But unfortunately, the placements we've been talking about, right? That marriage between placements and kills, only 3 points is not enough for them to even be in top 5.
And we always keep going back to that, Jason. You have to be able, yes, you're going to be able to be the top ranking team, but guess what? If you're only going to have 3 placement points, it's not going to be good enough, especially when you have teams like RIQ, 16 placement points and then 10 kills. That is huge for them. And then teams that I am going to be seeing too, something that I love to see there from that last match is we saw teams bounce back. One team that I do want to see bounce back again is Team Secret. They ended up leaving the match early, super early. I want to see something a little bit different. They are going to have a chance here going up again to Erangel. I want to see something different out of them. And also with Bigatron in 15th place. They do not.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure they're only scratching their heads. They're saying, what's going on? It is the first day, but...
But 7, so on that note, I completely agree. It's the first day, right?
Yep.
But Max, during league stage, during the final week, this is the same Bigatron we saw in the final Super Weekend, not performing. This is where 4AM were able to claw back a 60-point gap deficit and then take themselves over 60 points in the lead. Bigatron need to show up.
The thing is, this was actually one of the first times in the league stage, just a month ago, they realized like our playstyle is now dated in a way. Like we need to adapt. We need to adapt to the meta. They still play, the edge of circle position, which has been working out for them for almost the entirety of 2020, right? And I was like, you know what, that's great, keep it going. But it has not been working. They've been getting gatekept time and time and time again. It happened that game. They got gatekept by Nova. It happened also in the last game where they were getting gatekept in Fairy Pier on their angle, and they tried to make it through, and there was like so many teams on the plateau they could just not make it through. So Bigatron, edge of circle, sure, it can work, but trying to commit to that playstyle every single game when sometimes you should just full send it center circle, it's just not going to work out. So I think that here Bigatron, after these 2 games, I'm going to say it, they need to change their playstyle. If they don't, I am not going to see them contesting like nowhere near top 3 right now.
Yep.
It would be massive shame, honestly, if that does happen. But another team I want to mention here that we did see a lot of momentum come out in the final days of the league play, Kanina Power. They've been a little bit quiet. The horses haven't woken up so far yet today.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start for them at the end of the day. Like, which, Kanina Power, their team that usually they start a little slow, taking a chill, and then they just slowly build up that...
More of a trot.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little trot, and then they just gallop at the end into the finishing line. And I think that what they've been doing so far, they've been also gathering information, especially by Gonzo dying out to Zeus early on. I think that, like on their Wrangle game, I think they were just trying to scout and get information, which, as long as the information rewards you as, like, just good drop spots, good rotations in the next few days, then that's perfect, as long as you can make the most out of that information. But... Kanina Power, just a little bit of a slow start. I'm not too scared for them just yet.
I mean, the little caveat I will give here while we do head into our MVP is the fact that these are the 16 best teams in the world.
Yep.
Someone has to be at the bottom, right? It's just a fact. So while playing against these best teams, like just because you're maybe in 16th, 15th, 14th place, whatever it might be, doesn't mean you're a bad team. You know, it just means you didn't have the luck going your way that game. It means you didn't have the right call that game. Any one of these teams here can get a chicken dinner, can be first place at any given time. But let's take a look at our MVP of this last match here. It's coming in for Abrupt Slayers. It's going to be Joker coming in. Only 3 kills and 495 damage, but that is a lot of survival time.
It is, and that's kind of what you want to see out of an MVP, especially if your team is going to end up winning. You want to be able to see them survive a long time, and also the 3 kills with 495 damage. Hey, that's good to see too. It goes to show that you were actually willing, you were helping out your team. You were causing some more damage, and you ended up getting kills, and you love seeing that out of the MVP there in Joker. Now, something that I actually wanted to go back a little bit more was Class DA. I love the patience that Silas was able to show when they were going up against Footballers, and in just waiting in the right moment and waiting for his teammate to kind of back him up. They knew that a player was inside a closet. They threw a Molotov and they kind of forced them out of that. And I love seeing plays like that. Anything tactical like that, I love seeing, especially the teamwork, right? He waited for his teammate to be there to back him up just in case something went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, just a few months ago, it was like grenades that got like nerfed really, really hard, and like the other utility like flashbangs, like Molotovs that slowly made their way back into the meta, and like using it like that to like force players away from their position is really good. But like I was seeing his like Joker there with his haircut, I'm realizing a lot of the players in this tournament got like white hair. It's a weird trend.
Well, I have white hair. Well, I guess it's technically gray. But anyways, moving ahead into our kills and damage in the last match, you can see the most damage was done actually by Nova XQF with the 2170 damage, and we have 3 teams on 8 kills. So again, as we said before, the way the points work, 1 kill, 1 point, and kills can mean a lot of your standings, a lot of money as well at the very end.
And something that I'm enjoying from Nova that we even saw in the last match was they were taking a fight with Bigatron, and then they decided to back off as soon as they noticed that, hey, we're just shooting, we're not getting any knocks. You know what? Let's just back off and let's go ahead and readjust, which ended up working out perfectly for them because they were able to position themselves in a better location, and they ended up getting, I believe it was King from Nova, ended up getting in a 1v1 situation with Luxy from Bigatron, and they ended up killing him. So love seeing those plays, love seeing, you know what, we really don't have to be aggressive here. There's someone's coming our way, let's reposition.
Yeah, it was Luxy's also like mobile gamer of 2020, by the way, if you did not know. They go just sprinkling a little bit of information, but like not the game of that game, unfortunately. You did commit a little bit too far versus Nova.
Just built him up and then just chopped him
They're
right
just
down.
like, oh, no, I'll drop you down on the ground. That's where you're going. But like, he did push a little bit too far, and I think that there was maybe a little bit of lack of synergy from Bigatron on that game, respectively. So hopefully that is something they can try and fix on the long run. But like, yeah, it feels good. RRQ up there. I'm going to say it, there you go. I'm saying it right now. RRQ, top 3 position. And you know what, like, hey, also, like, Dubai surrounded by desert, like, normally, no, this is a position, like, they don't have a good time on desert maps normally, but you know what? Here, they're showing up in big ways.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't say it.
I don't want you to jinx it now.
I mean, it's always going to fall back on me anyways, eventually. But looking at our top 5 players in terms of their respective stats in that game.
Ooh.
Highest kills, of course, you know, Paraboy got himself 5 frags that game alone, mainly because of how they were just consistently fighting, entering through the eastern side. They were off to a great start.
And something that I wanted to point out in regards to longest travel, distance travel, would be, it once again, is a 4 AM player. They've been enjoying the rotations. We kind of saw another rotation as well from Navi. We saw a west rotation. I want to see, with 4 AM, I feel like they had just such a great idea there, but they just took a little bit too long. And I wanted to go back to that with you, Max, because I felt like if they would have just kept, they pretty much, if they could have went from southwest to southeast and then go up a little bit more, they would have just placed themselves in a perfect location. But instead, we saw S-Band just go in wild and crazy into a bunch of players, and it didn't end up working out their way.
The thing is, when you do such a wild rotation like that, you got to. That's when a moment where you got to keep in mind the time factor. And the fact is that rotation took so long to set up that the circle had time to shift away, and then they could not try and breach it through the eastern side, which is why they at the end tried to make it through Chumacera and went down.
And going based on time there, we saw another team in Navi do the exact same rotation, and something that we're talking about was that Navi take it on, they waited too long to actually get into position. They waited too long to actually get into the circle. They were far ahead in regards to where 4 AM was, and 4 AM was able to almost catch up to them. So hopefully we can see a little bit more of more pressure out of Navi in the future, especially if they're going to continue doing those west rotations.
Yeah, just being a little bit more snappy at the end there.
Yeah, crazy to see here as well. 260 throwables used in that last match.
Wow.
57 kills as well. I mean, obviously you expect a really high number of kills, right? But we can also importantly see that like 15 revives. Now, obviously, we don't really see this number too often as like an overall statistic for a match, but in your guys' opinion, is that a lot or is that a little when it comes to these matches?
That's very little.
I feel like that's very, very little.
That means like kills have been confirmed heavily, which I think is a good thing, especially in Miramar, because normally like as a big map, you're gonna have teams very far away from each other. That means that fights would get initiated and would find closure really quickly. Which, when you think about it, the main reason why that was the case is because that terrain had so little compounds that you would always have an angle where even if you just got knocked, another team would just steal that frag away. That circle there was not the best in terms of like being able to find those revives because there was no good hiding spots.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that from the Nova player trying to hide behind the airdrop. Just trying to find anything to hide behind. It's not going to end up working out. Luckily for them, A1 Esports, once again, I want to go back to that. They decided to just back off. They only shot him one time, kind of like a warning shot, back off. I wish he would have just kind of hold on to that fire button and kept on shooting. He would have definitely been able to knock them down, and I think it would have maybe gone a little bit different there for A1, even though, hey, their place is really good for them.
Yeah, and you know what? Things are heating up here in Dubai, but we're going to be heading to a short break while we get things ready for our next match here of the day. It's going to be off a Kendi, so things will be cooling down. It's going to be back with your commentators of John Allen and Blake.
The battle won for glory. All our brothers in arms feel the fire. We're conquerors, never back down.
Blank, are you getting a little bit chilly? I know we're in Dubai, but it's starting to feel a little bit cold.
It's a bit cold, right?
That's because we're headed to Vikendi next. We're going to be headed over to the icy tundra. As per usual, I will make a joke about it being cold. And what better way to kick it?
Well, it's cold. Very funny. But I mean, yes, we are heading over to Vikendi now. And I mean, I'm excited for it. This is probably one of my favorite maps during the Pmgc. Not one of my favorite maps before this, though. I mean, I can appreciate the tactical nature of this map, but in Pmgc, the way these teams play is so aggressive. Just absolutely fighting tooth and nail over these compounds all over the map at the moment. It's really good fun to watch, and you guys are sure to enjoy it at home. We've been told the game is ready very shortly, so I'm really excited to get into this one as soon as possible. Now, you mentioned Alpha 7 during our angle.
I did.
They stepped up a little bit there on Miramar. They had their moments, and they were shining. Unfortunately, those circles towards the end were just absolutely monstrous, to be honest with you. XQF tried to do the best they could with what little materials they were given. The loot boxes just not coming to bear, and honestly, A1 with Jax on that high ground doing a fantastic job. And I think that was kind of just recovery mode at that point for that team. They most certainly weren't going to get that chicken dinner with the way that Abrupt Slayers were playing. They had a really good position nice and early on. However, they were able to snag that second place. Sinister, however, was in a really tough spot with all those players bearing down upon him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who said A1 were going to step up a little bit? I'm just trying to remember.
I think you said XQF, right?
No, I'm pretty sure I said A1. I'm pretty sure I said that.
They've got that A1 grading, you know.
Absolutely, that's what they want. Just like the cards that you can get over on Epic, on the Epic's cards, of course.
Epics.gg.
Epics.gg. You can head over there and check out all the cards. If you get that A1, that's the first edition. It's just the number. It's just a number. But A1,
but it
that's
means
pretty
so
cool.
much more.
That's pretty cool. It definitely does. If you get an A1, I would say that would be Super Poggers.
I thought you were going to say that would be A1, and I was like, well, that would really, just bring everything together. But, that would just be Super Poggers.
There's a few things in life that are Super Poggers.
Okay.
A1, Mountain Dew, the OnePlus 8T,
yeah,
Qualcomm Snapdragon, Elite Gaming. All of these things are Super Poggers, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be heading into match number 3 very shortly over on Vikendi.
Now, there's a few teams here that we've been taking a look at today. RRQ, however, wow, nice little game from them on Miramar. We've not seen that from them in a little while. So you would think that the rest of the maps are all pretty good for them. They seem to know what they're doing. So they spent this short break being like, what is going on Miramar? And they seem to have fixed a lot of the problems that were shown to them, and they've managed to get their way into that. So I think a lot of times they're getting caught out on rotates. But here we go. Match number 3, heading to the skies. We've got our beautiful little arena here as well to show it as it happens.
Did you just call it little?
It's a small one, isn't it, really?
It's a very, very small
Look
arena.
how tiny it is.
Goodness me.
Just like Vikendi.
What is this, an arena for ants?
There are at least a dozen of us in here. I'll say that now.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic stuff. Plane path cuts straight down the middle. Bottom left, top right. Very, very simple for everybody trying to get anywhere. Dobro Mesto, very accessible. Early drop, you can drive out there. That's going to be fine. Places like Port that might be a little bit inaccessible, but even so, you can get there, you can loot up. Very, very favorable for pretty much everyone.
Yeah. We've got a beautiful little graphic on the screen here as well for you guys at home, so you can keep up to date with everything that is going on during the tournament. Nova XQF Paraboy over there with 5 kills in 3rd place for the top 5 fraggers of the tournament. Now, that does not surprise me. Regardless of what's happened in Pmgc, this guy has always stepped up as a huge fragging member for this team. He really is that glue that pulls the rest of the players together. But look at that overall rankings. RRQ in 2nd place and Abrupt Slayers with 1st on 26 points. Bloody hell, John. Abrupt Slayers are really stepping up. That's momentum that they wanted.
Absolutely. RRQ tied, of course, in that spot with 26 points. It's very, very tight, and that's what I was talking about early on in that last game, remember, Blank, where I said the top 3 teams from that first game had dropped down early.
Exactly.
Right.
And I mean, just looking at that as well, John, to be honest with you, when you take a look there, Abrupt Slayers are in #1 place because obviously they've had a chicken dinner, which is the tiebreaker there for these teams. And to be quite honest with you, those chicken dinners are going to come in mighty handy because you don't have that many games here this tournament. Only 24, so you want to try and get as many as possible on board. Just in case you do get the tiebreaker at the top, it is a huge discrepancy between the 1st place and the 2nd place prize.
Certainly is. It's nothing to turn your nose up at. 700k, that'd be pretty great to be able to get that. And I think if you add up what 4am were able to get from the qualifying stages, from the league stages, that would total to $1 million. If 4am win here, they would get $1 million total out of the
I know, it would be absolutely mad.
And the MVP prize as well, so that would be another 10,000 on top of it, 1,010,000. If they get another MVP, that would be like
1,020,000.
1,027,000 or whatever it is. I have to double check on the exact number, but that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money indeed. And I mean, look, you guys at home, you've given another $1 million today in terms of viewership. We broke that so easily. Again, a massive thank you to all you guys at home who are staying safe and watching some beautiful PUBG Mobile esports. We've got Hasaki up on the screen there. 167 meter, longest distance kill, 3 kills total. He's doing pretty well. He was really stepping up for the team a lot of times. And this guy's the type of guy that plays in the back for this team, pokes out, hits those off-angle shots, and comes back in again. He really does that job very well for this team.
Yeah.
I think 4am, though, they perform best when they have those 4 players on board because their teamwork is phenomenal.
Absolutely. I think it's, you know, one of the best, certainly in the lobby. Sinister, a little bit forwards, and against Alpha 7, we've seen how strong they are on the frag. But will he be able to shut down a little bit? Goes for the spray on the Darcia, but they get the better of him.
Really?
Sinister falls down early. A beautiful crash from Alpha 7, and there's a reason that these guys have got so many kills, Frank. There's a reason that they have the top fragger in the tournament so far over the last 2 games, and it's first blood for Mafioso.
You know, I had a little chat with Law, actually, before this tournament started. He's such a sweet guy as well. He's like, I will try my best in the tournament. I'll do my best, guys. And you know what? He absolutely is doing. This guy is fragging out of his mind this game, this tournament, in fact, as we head into the 3rd map of this whole PUBG Mobile Global Championship Finals. Really good stuff from them, and you don't see that very often. That's quite a difficult thing to pull off, where you're crashing into a compound, and through a window, and through another window from the vehicle, you manage to get the knock there. Really fantastic stuff from Alpha 7, and it is very dominant the way they take that compound. This is what I'm talking about as well. I mentioned it right at the top of the cast here, is that teams will be looking to take those compounds off other teams very early on, so they can try and strike that tactical advantage early.
I mean, you know, all in a day's work for Alpha 7, the America's squad who are representing their region. Fantastic for them to be able to come out swinging so strong. You can see Law there doing quite a lot for his squad, contributing a majority of the
total damage for the team.
Of the total damage for the team there. You can see 40% of it coming from Law, and that's what you're talking about. This guy is a machine.
Absolute mad stuff coming out from this guy. But the rest of the game shall take a little while to get started. Most teams having to head down towards the southeast here. You don't tend to get these very central circles on Vikendi usually. It wants to rubber band itself out over into the waters. Make things a little bit more difficult. The coastal side is very popular around here with the buildings that are in place, but we do have the frozen river that cuts through this one with Castle in tow, so that will make for some interesting plays towards the end of the game. Winery also here, so you have the elevation also thrown into the mix. So this is going to be an interesting finish. Regardless of what happens, we're going to have an interesting finish.
Absolutely, and this is, if this circle is anything, this is a Moustache Dave circle.
This is a Moustache Dave.
I would say that is definitely the case, because not only is it out to the coastline on Vikendi, it's onto Footballist. They're right on the coastline down on the southeastern side. They are pretty safely tucked away for the next 2-3 circles in this position. They will have to move a little bit further inland later on, but they can survive. They can last out the night and try and break with the dawn.
I think that really for footballists, what they tend to do very well from what we've seen is they hold down compounds with cheeky little angles very well. They're able to keep the enemy teams back. They can be able to keep the enemy teams off them whilst they're playing these kind of angles. So it's really good stuff from them. And I think they've been hindered, in fact, by the positions they've been given in these maps. For instance, let's go back to Erangel, where they were stuck outside on Sosnovka waiting to make their way in. That's not a good position for them. They're forced to play off the back foot towards the end of the game. They're used to having a very dominant position and then crushing from that spot.
See if they're able to find that dominant position moving forwards. Teams on the northern coast starting to move now. Na'Vi have already sent Old Boy out ahead just that little bit. We'll be following it up slowly. Power Triple Eight as well over in Port and Zabava. We'll be moving down south. Class Digital Athletics in that mix as well. All three of these teams will probably be trying to push in near Dino Park, just to the west of Castle.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually pretty pleased with what Na'Vi's doing here. And I've said this before and then been quite displeased about 5 minutes later, but I'm going to say it right now anyway.
Okay.
Na'Vi looking to make their way down on this western side into the circle itself, not hanging around for Class Digital Athletics to make their way down and actually, in fact, start to take some pot shots off them, which we've seen many times happen before, and it kind of causes this really big problem for both these teams where they're in a weird fight for a lengthy amount of time, they can't quite escape, and then another team comes along and finishes up the scraps which are left over from the little scuffle that did happen in that area. Here we're just looking at Abrupt Slayers once again, flexing it a little bit after that nice little win they just got on Miramar.
Not quite in the next circle. They'll have to get a little bit further central. And on Vikendi, as we all know, that is the name of the game. Get a central compound early and we'll see you safe for the next while. 4 AM, they got that memo. They've sent pretty central here, actually. There is another player on that hillside with them, though, from Airwolf Limax, just down the way. Superuna, isolated from the rest of the team. And might have to get out of the way, but 4 Increment continue their trek towards the center of the circle, into the waiting arms of Kanina Power, Alpha 7, A1 as well.
A1, right on this coastal side. You can, if we pull up the map in a little bit, you'll see just how tightly packed all these teams are, and they're tightly packed on the side of the river. And for a good reason as well. You want to be able to have that option to be able to cross at any moment. You don't want to get caught blindsided when you're all the way over on the west side and it's like, that is a hard shift to the east. Now, not only do I have to figure out how I'm going to make my way through the winding roads towards Castle, but how am I going to make my way across the road itself? Potato getting quickly dispatched.
Is that Alpha 7 getting a kill? Who'd have thought? Goodness me, 2 kills already. The only 2 kills in the lobby. And they will continue to maintain the title of top fraggers in the games so far. If you're wondering what the blue surrounding is of the teams on the right-hand side at home, that is teams that are out in the blue. That is teams who are going to remain outside for now. Once they get in, they'll be okay, but you can see Power Triple Eight and Na'Vi both still yet to leave the blue fully. Tixi is the only player for Na'Vi left out in the blue in Dobro Mesto, and Power Triple Eight, they're pretty much all out in the blue.
Yeah, they are making their way in now. Corpai, again, just like Tixi, is holding it down. Wonder what he's trying to do there. Collect a little bit more loot before heading in with the rest of his team. The rest of Na'Vi has passed Cosmos, Secret Jin, one single player, just up towards the south of Dino Park. The rest of Secret Jin have made their way in, and they're right on the coast here, John. Just waiting, biding their time. Abrupt Slayers, though, taking more shots over towards Airwolf Limax, who have tried to play out on the edge side. Doesn't work as well for them here on Vikendi, where so many teams will spot you coming from a mile off if you haven't found that compound yet.
However, Airwolf Limax, they still have 2 players, and both of them are in Castle Blank, which means that they're more than likely going to be okay for the foreseeable future, but it's leaving the castle that will prove bothersome. Secret Jin roll up on Na'Vi's spot. A lot of damage to Cosmos, but Matic takes some in kind, will go down. GZ trying to look for the push, but Old Boy at his back. Out wide he goes behind the rock, looking to try and suppress towards the off angle from Meku, but the Micro Uzi just too thunderous there for Old Boy. Rampages forwards and 2 players from Secret Jin down on knee.
And quickly, the boys from Na'Vi have to heal up, make sure they finish off the players here, get some points on board. Tixi making his way down as well. Really like that from Old Boy, actually. He suffered a little bit of damage as he flung himself off the motorbike onto the cold snow below, but it did mean that he got off quite a few pot shots to the players in the vehicle, was able to stop them in their tracks. So really good stuff. Great shot calling from this team to be saying, like, look, let's just stop right now, take shots quickly, make it happen, and they get 2 nice, juicy points out of it.
And you can see they are no longer surrounded by blue on the side tables there, which means that they are all into the zone. They will push forwards and try and get their foot in the door on the south side here. Next circle going to be popping relatively soon, but it's quite central blank, and they won't be pushed too hard just yet. Footballist yet to leave their spot, their drop. Secret Jin might try and contest them for it, though. It's a decent spot, controls the western side of this bridge, which is such an important crossing.
4am on screen, Suvan. Dude, that guy is absolutely nutty for that team. I think he'd put up, I think it was 70 kill. Actually, I'm not even completely sure of the number at the end, but it was around about a third of the total kills for the team at the end of the Pmgc league stages. It was absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. So once this guy's alive, if he's staying alive, then you know some good stuff are going to happen for 4am indeed. And I think they're just getting warmed up. And after that win they got our angle early on, they're already in a nice spot going forward.
Footballists are just sort of vibing right now.
Yeah.
They have got everything that they want right now. You can see they've stacked up those vehicles in nice, safe, secure locations. Really not too many ways that those are going to go down or lose a tyre. When they have to, they can move. Potentially over towards Volnova, but there's quite a lot of teams there already. Abrupt Slayers, they're out in the sticks on the northern side, next to the castle, where Aerowolf Limax have their 2 remaining outposts.
I mean, this is completely fine for most teams.
Red dot K9.
You know what? If you want to hit some long shots, you just need a small red dot, and then you kind of just see some movement off in the distance. Oh, I was taking a shot. Actually, that's how the K9 works.
It's no scope or no hope, to be honest.
No scope or no hope. You just like, that's how I play this game as well. I just like duck over, and then sometimes I get a kill every 500 shots or so.
Gyro only K9.
Max sensitivity.
That would be pretty.
Max damage.
That is true. Damage scales with sensitivity.
Yeah, I could do like a ridiculous 900-degree turn in about a 0.5 second.
With gyro, you're just on a...
Me in my spinny chair at home.
Don't be ridiculous, boy.
That's not how they play these games. I actually do know some people who do play in a spinning chair and then they actually just spin to change direction. I know some people who actually do that. I think Hot Jukes actually does that.
I'd have to double check.
I don't know where he is. I need
Hot Jukes,
please.
Hot Jukes, please.
Come here.
Verify these facts that we're claiming about you. Oh dear. Na'Vi, they've made their push a little bit closer on the western edge of Winery. They're getting closer to RRQ as well. And might actually come to blows at this stage. Class Digital Athletics, they're holding out just to the south of Tovar.
Do you play on a spinny chair?
Of course, have to.
It's the best, right?
He said
it's the only way.
Level, dude, to be able to track a car, full 360.
He's saying for if you have to track a car, it's great. Full 360 motion.
Full 360. Thank you so much, Hot Jukes.
There we go.
That's a verification on the cards.
Hey, you know what? We got it done. That's all I'm going to say. Footballist, they have still maintained their sanctuary, their sanity as well for the time being.
I mean, football is not the worst position for them. I just worry for them going forward. I mean, the circle seems to be heading more and more towards the northwest here. It will eventually leave them. Na'Vi towards that elevated position towards Winery. This is good for intel going forward. We know PUBG Mobile is an information game at heart. If they can acquire a little bit of that going forward, it'll be great for them. Let's take quick stock of these players. Na'Vi has 1 knock, as do Class Digital Athletics. You can see Matic going over to pick up his boy Meku.
There we go. Not too sure where the knock came in from. I imagine that it was from Secret Jin. So ones with real sight lines over to the position. Okay, yeah. There it is. There's Kengzo.
Oh, it's the solitary samurai.
Hits the bullet, but not quite getting the knock. Looks for another. 4 bullets in the magazine right now, blank, but he is going to fade away. Kengzo doesn't want to be isolated into his position. He knows there's 2 more members of Na'Vi out there biding their time.
That guy is pretty scary, I won't lie to you, so I wouldn't count Secret Jin out just yet. Let's take a look down to 4am at the moment. You can see them down here, Alpha 7 and 4am. Their damage comparison. 4am obviously not doing a huge amount of damage. They did wait out a lot of these games, but still 1,700 for how patient they've been is quite a big number, to be honest with
you. Yeah, I mean, they're doing pretty well, both of these squads, however. And they're right across the ridge lines, which is why this comparison is actually quite interesting there. Both pretty big numbers there. There is quite a difference in that damage, but it is very early into these games. And remember, 4am actually went down.
It's all play style as well, right?
Exactly. 4am went down very, very early in that last game, which means that almost all of their damage is from the first entry there. So the fact that Alpha 7 only have 1,000 more, I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. I think Alpha 7's playstyle is quite aggressive as well, and I like how they're playing it. I think you can play aggressive so wrong as well. We've seen so many times where we've had an aggressive team fly into compounds time and time again and just get completely shut down. Alpha 7, on the other hand, seeming to make it work, and I think that's absolutely okay when you got muscles like these guys.
Notably, actually, it was Nova XQF who did exactly what you're talking about. They sort of flew into these compounds without scouting and got taken down on an aggressive play. They learned their lesson a little bit towards the ends of the tournament, somewhat. They still have their foibles. But
my eyes were twitching. That's why he said that.
Yeah, absolutely. But they seem to have learned a little bit of a lesson there, and potentially so have everyone else. Alpha 7 have their wits about them. They've been controlling a lot of ground in the 2 games previously. We'll see if they're able to do that. Of course, they're on the eastern side of this river at the moment, which means that they probably are going to have to cross depending on this next shift that's going to come in a few seconds. So they won't have as much control as they once did. Will they be able to have the similar result, play that aggressive strategy that they've been up to for the last 2 games?
Moving away very quickly, it does head over to the eastern side. That's Zuxi, though, getting taken down behind the vehicle. Just about gets behind the buggy, but he's going to bleed out fairly shortly. And now Bigatron down to 3. Not a good start to the finals for them at all. And remember, we've got to make an emphasis that, only 24 matches total. Every single match counts even more than before, because you need to get those points on board and make it fast.
The circle shift out to the west flank, which means that, as we said, Alpha 7 will have to shift. Aerowolf just still inside it in Castle with their 2 players who've been there for quite a while. The northern side, as we've just seen that fight between Power 888 and Bigatron, will have to move forward. But Footballists are going to have to leave as well. Na'Vi, 3 to a car. I hate to see it, but they get away with it. Axa not able to get that spray down. That's Invuln over on the western edge.
Oh, okay, Axa. Nice one.
Hardcore parkour right there.
I know, right? It cheekily just makes its way down there like Spider-Man, just hanging from the ledges. A1 outside of the walls at the time being, just watching in towards Canadian Power. I mean, you'd imagine that A1 would know that there's a team currently in here. They are right on the cusp of the circle. They have some great advantage in terms of the area that they control. They'll be looking over towards Alpha 7, who you imagine is going to wait as long as possible over on this eastern side for the teams that might be gatekeeping them to move to a better position for themselves. Footballers is another one of those teams. They've come up from the bottom of Winery using that hilltop to gather that information, see where they'd like to go next, but it's RRQ who are currently in the way.
Goodness me, is it first light of the 5th day? Because that's the Rohirrim atop the hill there going in for RRQ. And they are looking from the south, not from the east this time around. So
no.
Maybe the comparison falls short, but potentially looking to dismount RRQ's position there. Some nice spots for them. Or they could just try and skirt around it. RRQ, a difficulty in front of them. And do they meet it head on, or do they try and flow around it?
I mean, Lutz has already made his way through. I actually really like this push from Lutz, from Footballers. He's a single player. He can make his way through on his own, fairly undetected, and try and provide a route for the rest of this team to actually bomb towards, which is absolutely fine. I mean, Footballers definitely need to do something with the next circle. About to pop very shortly. Gonna hit up onto our screens. Team Secret currently right in the middle. They've had some good luck here on Vikendi, and they have it once again as it drops on top of them. I want to see some stuff out of U-High. He's an incredible player, but Ice continues to find these knocks.
Husky very low as well. Sook up close and personal with him. The circle will start to do quite a bit of damage here as 4 AM going to have the Kosh put on them. And they just retreat. Power 888 playing disciplined here, Blank.
I mean, yeah, to be honest with you, I'm glad they are. They had some real big hiccups towards the end of the league stage, but we're looking at Canina Power, the 2 CIS teams here for this finals, going head-to-head against one another.
Alpha 7 taking a lot of punishment on the eastern side from Zeus, actually going very, very low, down to 1 player. But in the meantime, Canina Power continue to clash on the western end of Vilnova with Na'Vi. They've only had 1 knock so far into Meku, and they potentially are going to be able to res this. Canina Power backing off, it seems, for the time being.
Yeah, 4am really having a rough time of it. I think they spent way too much time trying to get those 10,000 steps in a day at this point. I think they just need to get into the circle and find a position. We've seen so many times on Vikendi where they have just shot towards a position in the circle itself, find a nice compound, but here I think they're just playing a little bit too hesitant. It is fine because they've still got some points on board from the beginning of the day, but that lead that they'd begun so early is starting to get away from them.
A1 are trying to push into the middle of this fight, and the two CAS teams are turning around and be like, guys,
come on.
We're fighting here.
We're having a cage match.
Step up.
So rude.
Nades being thrown in now from Tixi, close range. Gets the knock onto 6ix9ine and a bit of damage onto Jax. Old Boy has been knocked in the meantime. This is a chance for Kanina Power to maybe strike, but Old Boy gets flushed out. A1 pick up the kill. Nade up the top. Tixi takes some damage. Dante fades away and doesn't get done over.
You know, Tixi should be dead there. That grenade exploded right within the frame, so only took a little bit of brunt damage there, unfortunately, for A1. So Tixi counting his lucky stars at the moment. Na'Vi now down to just 3. That Secret Jin also going out towards the south side. NovaXQF just holding it down over the side of the road.
Lucky once, not so lucky again. Tixi gets knocked. The nade finds its mark this time around. And will be still in Volnova, the arena of their combat. Bigatron very, very low. Luxy last standing there. Has to heal up a sliver of HP. Both Ryzen and Microboy trying to hold on, but the spray down from 4 Angry Men will eliminate Bigatron for a 3rd time. Abrupt Slayers are eliminated as well. And so now it's just 4am on that northern side, thinking, where did everyone go? Footballist, maybe a little bit further to the south.
Yeah, this is the hard crunch that happens every time here on Vikendi, where teams have to suddenly start bolting it towards the middle. Team Secret still holding down a beautiful compound over in the middle of this one. And Class Digital Athletics continue to be consistent in this finals. Another good compound for them that they found on a similar trajectory made by Na'Vi. Na'Vi just went a little bit further than them. Digital Athletics decided actually to opt to stop a little bit earlier and hit up a compound here.
Kanina Power looking to try and leave as well. We saw what they can do. A nade on its mark, beautifully found there from RRQ. 4 players alive. Looks like they're going for that res as well in the back. Beer 11 and D2E, brothers in arms, staying linked right now. The Phalanx moves on.
King is just belting it towards Order them. I'm okay with this. King seems to be really like the medic of the team, just rushing around trying to find players to pick back up again, but RRQ will be having none of it. They won't allow this res to go through. They realize they need to press the advantage. Now it's a 4v3 between them and Nova XQF. Great position found for RRQ, but they still have a ways to go. They are not in the circle just yet.
Not too many potential third parties as well. It's really only Class Digital Athletics who could chime in to this fight, which means it is basically straight head-to-head combat right now between Nova XQF and RRQ Athena. Looking to try and push on forwards. Ernie leads the charge up to the 2 blue crates. Jumps the gap. Drops to hit the deck. Smokes out wide to try and get the off angle. A knock goes over to Kanina Power as they take a fight on the hillside with Zeus around the windmills. Axa going low. 2 players down now for Kanina Power. Gonzo mounts up. Tries to get a new angle as Black-White will get flushed on out. As that's kills coming in thick and fast down towards Nova XQF, as now it's Zeus who can third party into this fight as well. And everything's starting to pop off. Nova XQF, I believe that's them going very, very low. RRQ, all 4 players standing, and Kanina Power all but done as Frozen's out in the blue.
Quickly check in with Footballist. After that nice little push from Lutz, they found a position over towards this northwest side where not a lot of teams are currently congregating. So they're in a really good spot. Zeus continued to take that fight between them and Kanina Power. Gonzo trying his best to crawl into the circle whilst he is down. Na'Vi now out. It will look like Frozen makes his way over to. So Kanina Power could possibly remain in this game with 2 players, but 8 teams now remain as the next circle will pop. Let's see where it goes. This could really change things up depending on the position. Down towards the south, not really any compound remaining within this one, just the barest amount of Nova XQFs as well as Class Digital Athletics.
RRQ, remember they were tied for first place on 26 points now, so they can streak out ahead of the Abrupt Slayers who went down a lot earlier. And it's consistency that's seeing everyone safe here, although RRQ, they take a knock. Class Digital Athletics, they are echoing back and forth, 1 for 1, blow for blow, blank. They trade it off.
RRQ take one knock. Nova XQF, that's Paraboy down now for the team.
Oh. Knock sent over towards Rex for Team Secret against the Footballist onslaught right now. They will have to move down south pretty sharpish. As Footballist looking to try and swarm around. They are on the back foot, but Secret potentially caught up in this compound. Might find it difficult to leave, but Yuhai Boy out the back, trying to give them an escape route.
I think that right now, Team Secret need to get rid of Footballers. This is probably high priority for them. Power Triple 8 with one knock on hand gives a little bit of breathing room to them. That's Paraboy taking down D2E. So Nova XQF continuing their reign towards this south side.
Nova XQF, RRQ and Class Digital Athletics right now waiting for someone to make that first move. Sprays coming in from Power Triple 8, who again have to make that push. Such a tricky spot, and they all mount up. 4 to a vehicle for Power Triple 8 this late in the circle. If you get done, you're going to go down right into the middle. Such a risky play, but they managed to get into the zone, and that might just give them the advantage they need against Footballist, against Team Secret.
Team Secret just are not having a good time right now. Great nades coming through. Footballers, they want to claim zone here. Move to the front, Loverson jumps around the side. That's one kill already found.
Oh, no.
Great jump shot from Matoy. Beautiful stuff, and will survive. Ice shot still up here. Matoy has to try and get out of there as soon as possible, but the blue is ticking.
2 players alive. Matoy gets knocked across the way. Ice Shots tries to stand tall, but Power Triple 8 are ready and waiting with open arms. However, Jimmy lands the shots from the sidelines. That is all the teams on the north now eliminated. Power Triple 8 behind their rock, looking to hold strong right now. The circle will shift. It will favor one of these 4 teams. All 4 points of the compass occupied right now, and Power Triple 8 are blessing their lucky stars as it shifts out northwest.
This is beautiful for them. They have a lot of hard cover that they're currently holding down. Francis Lennox will have to leave their compound to RRQ. Trying to find a pick onto Nova XQF. There's the first one. King goes down. This is a really important game for RRQ. They have not held the trophy of a championship as of yet, but they've always been chasing it. And if they get some more points on here, it will be looking good for them at the start of this finals.
Power Triple 8 trying to zone them away, looking for that res. A single nade would prove really quite bothersome for them. RRQ, they're down to 1.
Yeah.
G9 hiding out in the warehouse. Nade over the top. That's a Molotov, sorry, to stop Paraboy on the close peaks, but really, what is there left in the tank? Looking for the angle there, can't quite find it on the Molotov. Now G9 wants to get these reses. Paraboy reads it, moves on over the wall. Class Digital Athletics, they need to try and take some real estate in the meantime. And that's a Molotov. Did that just finish off both of them for Paraboy?
Goodness me. Like you said, that was open like a book for Paraboy. He was just straight through those chapters. Great read from him. Now moves forward with the smokes unleashed by Jimmy. Now they can get further into this circle. Power Triple 8 are down on their knees. They have really taken a lot of hits. Jimmy survives, brushes that one off like it's nothing.
It's not even a problem. Class Digital Athletics clashing now with Power Triple 8 around the side of the rock. Nova XQF will have to try and snake their way through, and Power Triple 8 should be worried. It's a 3 versus 2 if they take the fight that way. But they just don't have the info at this moment. Ice looking to try and play backstop. Paraboy spotted out. Functioning perfectly. 1 player now standing for Nova XQF. It's Jimmy. Class Digital Athletics pop the nades over the top, looking to try and push them off the rocks, try and force them into an unfavorable fight. 4 versus 3. Nades sent back, however, and might just find what they're looking for. Triple T's going to hit the deck. Jimmy, last player standing, snaking in for Nova XQF. Looking to mount up and spray on in. Gets a lot of damage done, but Silas stands tall. Gooey around the rock, not quite able to finish that off. Solus goes low. Silas, he might not have any HP, but it's not even going to matter. Class Digital Athletics rampage across the tundra.
Absolute fantastic game from Class Digital Athletics. I felt like they were in control the entirety of that time. Wonderful stuff from them. Power Triple 8 though, Ice with 7 kills on 4. What a performance from this guy. We kept coming back onto his camera so many times. He dealt with 4 AM. But RRQ, this is actually quite a good game for them, and I like their rotations. It seemed smart, and they were ready to press advantages when they had them, push forward towards Nova XQF. Unfortunately, in the end, Paraboy did some Paraboy things, and it just did not go well for them.
Fantastic stuff, and Team Secret as well, having one of the a good game after what has been a slow start. So hopefully that's a little bit of a kick up the backside for them to get things started. Well, we'll have to wait and see what they have in store for us for the rest of today. Let's head back over to the analyst desk.
Yeah, honestly, really great to see Power AAA. I mean, obviously we'll talk about class in a second, but for Power AAA KPS, they were in, I think, 15th place. And they were able to show up in this game. And that's the Power AAA KPS that we've known. This is the team that we saw in like 2 weeks of League play, Max, who on the last day qualified for the Super Weekend out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, I also gave them the title in the league stage of like, the God Slayers. Like, they would take down like teams that like renowned in the scene and in that tournament specifically. And I think that overall they have been able to prove once again that they are still on top of their game. They're still fragging it out in big ways. There was still like a super ballsy move at one point. Like 4-man car rotation in a fuming car. I was like, oh, if they make it to the rock, like that's going to be one of the strongest positions. But it was a high risk, high reward kind of play. And it did indeed like reward them with like so many frags. Not chicken dinner, but still just the kills alone is still worthwhile.
And the good thing about that play is that it showed their awareness. They were so aware of all the other fights going on that they waited just for the right time to actually make that push, which I love to see them in. As you said, that was pretty much, I think if they wouldn't have done that, they wouldn't have ended up where they ended up at the end of the game. Love seeing that once. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about that John was able to talk about there as well is Team Secret. Being able to kind of just scratch off that top teens placing that they were having in the previous matches, whether it was 16th place, 15th place, now being able to get 5th place with 5 kills, that's good. And then we have 4AM. I believe they ended up in 12th place with not that many kills either. So a lot of chances for other teams to be able to step up, and this is good to see.
When I was looking at Team Secret in that compound at one point versus the side of Footballist, like they stayed there for so long, I thought I was watching Attack on Titan. I was like literally like they put like wall Maria around them and they're just like, we're staying here, we're not moving whatsoever. And then they got breached by the Titans. There was Footballist, but like, you know what, we're gonna fight back, we're gonna crack into the back of your neck and we're gonna take you down.
Is that the football movie?
Sorry?
Is that the football movie? I thought it was called Remember the Titans.
Football.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I feel offended right now.
I'm sorry, I have to make fun of them there. Obviously, I do get the reference. I watch anime myself. I've seen it. You guys at home, though, we still, again, have so many things to give away for you guys. We're obviously going to break down the rest of the match a little bit later, but we want to talk about what you can win at home. We have so many rewards. You got 10 million AG, 1 million UC, and $150,000 on the line if you can guess the correct winners of every match for the $150,000. And then, obviously, the AG and the UC comes through if you guess the correct winning team of that match, even if you miss some later on throughout the time. But we're trying to, like, calculate out, like, what is the % chance of you, or the probability of you getting every team right. It's like 1/16 to the 24th power. Really hard, but hey, $250,000.
Let us know in the comments.
I mean, I've already lost. I think I had 4AM winning every single game today, so unfortunately, I can't win the money. Max, I think there's definitely no way.
Like the odds of you being able to win that is like equivalent to my average score I would get in math class. It's basically non-existent.
You did get a -2 out of 20.
That is true. True story.
I don't know how you fill your name out incorrectly, but let's take a look though at our overall standings now after we've had 3 matches played. In Class Digital Athletics, we talk about how consistent they are. They're now in 1st place.
There you go. Like, Class, the thing is, like, during the entirety of the league stage, we mentioned this team is able to remain so consistent, remain on top 3 position for so damn long. And if they were able to find closure on the few of those games, they could have potentially got in 2nd position at some point and overtaken Bigatron. But these are the type of games that I love to see. They're like, okay, we know exactly where the final few teams are. We're going to try and go for the push, take control in those finishing moments to take the win. And they did it. Like, this is the DA that I think this is exactly what they had to improve on. And this is the DA. If they keep on playing at this level, I think we might just see them, like, you know, top 3 position, even maybe being on top of the entire event and taking number 1.
Yeah, and they can be that team that, you know, if they get into a top 5 situation and they have at least 3 other players left, it's going to be one of those scary teams. And we're seeing that over and over again in different regions as well. We do see Nova Esports, though. Nova XQF, look at them, moving up to 3rd place. They had a horrible game to start with in Erangel, and now back-to-back games being able to step it up. Once again, Paraboy, I think, by Paraboy being able to get a little bit hot there is pushing that team. Overall, it's a team effort, but I'm seeing Paraboy being a little bit more aggressive and wanting to get those kill points.
I mean, like, we're talking about, like, the top teams. I'm going to go back to, like, I'm sorry to hammer that point down, but, like, Bigatron, 16th position. Like, I think that after 3 games, you would have told me that Bigatron would have been in 16th position. I was like, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me ever again. And Bigatron here, like, 16th position, like, definitely just, they're having a real hard time. Like, the rotations aren't working that great. They tried a few things that had just not been able to, like, reward them with points in any way, shape, or form. So I'm really surprised, and I want to see Bigatron. What are they going to do to fix that? Like,
well, is it a question? is that they have officially brought a sub with them this time, Liquid.
Liquid.
Right?
Yep.
Is there a chance they're going to bring Liquid into the main roster for some of these games if they continue to perform like this?
I think so. Like, I think it'll be really interesting because also, in case you guys are maybe not too familiar with Liquid, he comes from Iron Esport, which is like a big team that used to always like contest was like second position right behind Bigatron. So they have history, and I think that taking what was now in the past like a foe is now going to be an ally could work out. So maybe Liquid could be like a big helping factor for them.
That's true. You and I started out as foes.
I think
and we're still
are.
foes.
Yeah.
We'll get to allies eventually. Seven, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think they're gonna make a sub, at least not in the first day. I think they're too much of a veteran team. They have way too good synergy between all the members of Bigatron right now. I think maybe if we continue to see this kind of performance going into tomorrow after the first game, I think that's when you might be able to start seeing some changes from them.
It's so much pressure. We'll talk about Silas in a second here, but it's so much pressure to be Bigatron and to not perform. Because you have everyone in the world watching you. You have a lot of haters hoping that you lose. You have a lot of fans who are trying to support you to bring you back up. But to be the top dog for so long and then to slowly slip away, I don't know how you come back from that. They got to be able to pull something big out.
I think it's just like slowly the end of an era, like in the PUBG Mobile esports scene. It's slowly coming to an end and coming to a closure. So hey, just saying it.
Really?
I think maybe like you got teams like just they're able to overtake Bigatron. I think it is coming to a closure pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean there could be things in the background. We never know what's going on behind the scenes with that team. I know Luxy, I believe he ended up making a post. Something was going to happen in March. So we don't know what's going to be happening in March. But I'm pretty sure you know what. Indonesia's having their back. I'm pretty sure they're typing in the chat #IndoPride. So I'd say it's just a fluke. It's only halfway through the first day. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
BTR Pride.
I mean, look at 4AM. They ended up winning the first game. And then after that, in Miramar and now in Vikendi, they haven't really performed to what we saw in the first game.
Head-to-head, Power AAA and also Powerboy's going to be up there. That's actually 2 games in a row where Powerboy's doing really good, actually. He got himself 5 kills, top fragger, actually, on Miramar, now into Vikendi. Map that's pretty similar in the playstyle. He's going to be also coming up with 4 kills and being one of those top players once again. But, like, Ice, like, 7 frags. Like, you keep that in mind, 7 frags were, like, what I call, like, once again in the league stage, like, the God Slayers of the lobby. And Ice did exactly that. He do be slaying.
So, and something that I love to see there from Paraboy stats, it's look at the damage. We've been seeing so far all the MVPs usually end up with, what is it, 400? Less than 500 damage. Paraboy, 1,000 damage by himself. Usually that's an MVP performance right there. I think that the team overall they were able to perform really well. I think they were trying to get those skills on RQ Athena, but ultimately they ended up getting third party. But the aggressiveness that I'm seeing from Paraboy after the first game especially is something that you want to see out of a fragger like him.
Yeah. Also now we're going to be looking over for some extra pieces of stats. And of course, you're going to be looking here for Nova. They got himself the highest total damage in that one. Are you surprised? Not really, no. Especially how you saw so much damage coming out from the side of Paraboy. So not too much of a surprise. But when you look at our team, it's going to be rotating a lot with vehicles and all that stuff. One team that comes to mind is going to be 4 Angry Men. Once again, 84.7% vehicle usage. They're the team that keep on rotating the most. They drop initially over onto the eastern side of the map across the river. They could not make it straight into the center circle because the circle kept on going to the west. They're like, we got to go for the wide rotation. Go to the bridge. It's going to be next to Cement Factory to enter through the north, which is what they did. But unfortunately, there was a little bit too much point of contestment in the northern side, which did render that pretty useless at the end.
Yeah, and they were able to pick up some kills there going up against Bigatron, so that kind of worked out for them. But I want to see if they're going to readjust their gameplay. Now that's back-to-back games that it hasn't really worked out for them. Yeah, we'll see. One thing that we do enjoy is that they are able to adjust, kind of like we saw that in the previous game. They really didn't play that outer circle because of the river was going to split in that one of those circles. So it's interesting to see. I think the next one, if I'm not wrong, is going to be Erangel. So I'm looking forward to see maybe they're going to just go back-to-back wins on Erangel.
I'm going to confirm it is Erangel.
Yeah, there you go.
100% it is Erangel coming into this one. A lot of M762s coming into this one. You know what? Not too surprised. It is a big top-tier weapon when it comes to competitive plays. You know what? They're going to be using that one quite a fair, decent bit here. And the damage is going to be pretty high. But once again, we'll have some white hair here.
I'm actually kind of surprised here. Not for the fact that we know, like, Law, I'm not saying that he can't frag.
Yeah.
Silas, okay, that's expected. Paraboy's expected, but I'm surprised not to see anyone from 4Angry Men in here.
Ooh.
Obviously, I understand they didn't do well match 2.
Yeah.
But they were, like, Svod was just so, like, he caught up to Ryzen so quickly when it came to league stage, and they just have so many players typically in our top 5. But again, it's only 3 matches played, right? It's very volatile. but we still see Law in there. We still see Silas and Paraboy, of course. Such a perfect time for him to step up right after we've had the Between the Battlegrounds episodes released about Nova.
Yeah, perfect timing. We actually had 2 episodes in 1 week, which thank you, PUBG Mobile Esports. I really enjoyed my time there watching those
His
episodes.
dog is so damn cute. Give me that dog. Well, not his specifically. One that looks like it.
I was going to say something, though, in regards to Alpha 7 and Law. Seeing Law there, for me, it's actually a little bit surprising considering he is the IGL of that team. Something I also wanted to point out when we were looking at the leaderboards is that Alpha 7 is relying a little bit too much on kills. In that previous match, they only ended up getting 2 kills, and in their placement points, then they only ended up getting with 1. So I feel like they have the fragging power, they can get those kills, they can win those engagements, but they need to work on just being able to stay alive a little bit longer. Obviously, that everybody wants to stay alive longer. Maybe work on your rotations, maybe try not to be as aggressive. We'll see what happens with Alpha 7.
Well, you know what we have been talking about, or we haven't maybe mentioned too much on air just yet. These special cards we got going on for sale for Epics.gg. There's a limited number of these first edition Pmgc Pro cards available for pre-order, and it's only here during the finals. And I can tell you right now, I know Imperium and Max have both already pre-ordered quite a bit. So you guys need to make sure to support your teams and order yours because they do get a portion of the sales as well. So you not only support them in fandom, you support them with money as well. You obviously showcase your collection online. You can even sell them in the marketplace and show that you're the #1 fan of the team, and especially considering there's even going to be some signed cards snuck in there in the pre-orders. So make sure you guys do that now.
I'm glad you mentioned that because from this graphic right here, we can see a signed car from Paraboy, and let me just tell you, I want that car. I definitely want that car.
But like ace, like grade 7 of it. Obviously.
Yes. Yeah, only grade 7. All my cars are going to be grade 7.
If you ever get a grade 7 and you're looking for someone to buy it, you know the man right here, the 7WG over on Instagram. We can see now, obviously, how the zones did shift throughout our last match here on Vikendi, and obviously the playing path, not too bad. I'm a little bit sad to not see, Dino Park finishes, but,
I thought for some time, I thought we were going to have a castle finish. I mean, Airwolf on it.
You did get excited.
I love my castle finishes, okay? Those are rare when they happen. I'm truly happy when that is indeed the case. But no, this is a circle that, especially in the Pmgc League stage, we remember, like, this circle has been happening time and time again. So these teams, these players are really familiar when it comes down to this. And, like, especially the reason why you had teams not playing too much on the outskirts was mainly because of that river. If you were on one side committing fully and the river shifted on the other side, you were going to get instantly denied so quickly, and you would struggle to find a decent position, or at least a way to make your way already inside the circle itself, which is why teams struggled. But like some rotations that were really clean, you can see Abrupt Slayers and Frangu Men on the east both went over to the bridge that was just up top of Castle up north and made their way back in. But unfortunately, you had teams like Power 888, Bigatron that were contesting that a little bit and making it harder for those rotations to actually pay off.
And one of the things you can also see from right there on your bottom left of the screen, you see RQ Athena just being able to get into some fights there, and the way that Nova Esports was able to position themselves to take on that fight later on against RQ Athena played out really well for me.
Now looking at Kanina Power in this one, like they dropped Volnova, right? And this is round where the circle was finishing. Volnova, they're very familiar, and unfortunately there were just so many teams that were on the outskirts of Volnova, gatekeeping, teams moving away from that compound, that unfortunately Kanina Power, that was too much for them to bear with, and they did tend to rotate a little bit too late away from Volnova, which at the end did cause their demise. Yeah, and with Team Secret, as we're seeing right there, one of the fights between Team Secret and Footballers, we saw Matawai actually being able to clutch up. Shot in the blue, like what? Yeah, I don't think anybody from the Footballers players, they were expecting that. I think they were just expecting maybe to just take an easy fight and finish off somebody else. But Matawai being able to kind of take on that fight, jump up, jump shot, kill the player from Footballers, move on, and sadly for him, he wasn't able to make it to the zone. He ended up getting knocked down by the zone. But overall, that plays like that is plays that can not only give you a confident boost for yourself, but also for your team.
You know, I actually really want to see some action shots in Epics.gg cards as well. I want to see like Matawai jumping. I want to see some like, for instance, Alpha 7, like they have the greatest poses when it comes to their pictures. Yes. But you know what? We're going to head to a break now while we get things ready for our 4th match of the day. We do have 2 new casters join us here on the desk. It's going to be Imperium and Hot Jukes, so don't go anywhere.
This game ends with Europe on the top side. There, it's just Pubg by itself. He's so close to Classic Athletics. Who's right there? Simon.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot Max has a contractually obligated amount of time to be on camera before we can go to the next match. So we're back here on the analysis desk here. Max, thanks for holding up. Analysts, just start game, please. We are obviously having a couple of issues, so we're just going to sort those out really quickly. But guys, I mean, obviously we have so many things that we can talk about, and I'm usually the one to drive the conversation. But you know what, Max? I'm going to give you the opportunity. What would you like to talk about right now?
I want to talk about real quick about Secret Jin, actually.
Okay,
Secret Jin is a team that we haven't been talking about too much because they were like really into the league stage, like more those silent killers, and they did get close to like top 5 position on those top side of the scoreboards. And I was really impressed with how they were doing, especially like Cosmos and also Kengzo was doing really good for his team. But I've got to say that I've been seeing that they've been doing a lot of research coming into this one. Like their drop locations and their rotation path are really clean, but they're suffering in terms of team fighting. And I think that like it's just the level of gameplay of this lobby is just so high. Like there's 16 best teams in the world, and I think that here they need to try and refocus a little bit on what they're doing, how they breach, how they go aggressive. They need to fully commit to decision making, and I think that if they do tend to do so, they will be in a good spot, because currently you can see on the leaderboards 15th position. Like that is just not looking great whatsoever.
So the thing about that is, I love how you brought up Secret Jin, because we've saw so many different teams in the league stage have those pop-up games. They had a 20-kill game on Erangel. They actually had 2 chicken dinners in that day on the Super Weekend. Like they can't pull off some big numbers, but the fact is anyone can do that. But Seven, I'm kind of surprised so far today. I mean, yeah, just 3 matches. Jason, calm down. We haven't had any of those huge games yet.
Yeah,
from anyone.
And that's the one that I'm kind of expecting for next. And especially in Erangel, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 4 a.m. after, and I kind of want to stick with 4 a.m. here, since they ended up winning the first Erangel. I want to see if maybe they can do a great showing. We saw them during the Pmgc League. They were able to get chicken dinners. They were able to get chicken dinners with 18 kills, which I think if they start doing that here, it would be amazing, especially after the performances there on Miramar and Vikendi. So this next match for me, I want to see 4 a.m. snap out of it, not end up being in those teams, not end up being in 12th place, 14th place. And I want to see another team that I want to see more consistency out of, especially after having such a great performance in the previous match, is going to be Team Secret. I want to see them being able to kind of put up a performance, because on that last match, as you can see right there on the leaderboard, they ended up getting all their placement points, and on top of that, they pretty much double their kill points.
I mean, they had like a good position in the circle, like from the get-go, and they used it really well, and they were able also to defend that breach from Footballist. So it really goes to show that Team Secret, sure, their meme game on social media is really good, but their game also is actually pretty decent itself. So you know what, Team Secret just a little bit further, and I'm sure they'll try and make it back in towards like that top 8 position in the leaderboards, because you've got to keep in mind also, we're talking about the top positions, $700,000 for number 1, then 200,000, then 100,000, but still, like, if you're remaining in those top 8 positions, like, you still have some pretty big discrepancies, like, of cash price from position to position. So just a few kills might be the difference between you making like 50 grand and like, 100 grand.
Well, you have to remember that Team Secret, they qualified 15th. Now, they had 205 points at the end of the league phase, but the thing was, they didn't qualify for the final Super Weekend. They had to sit there and just hope that no one was going to pass them in points, right? That's probably one of like the roughest positions to be in. So if you look at like how they've progressed throughout the league phase and now into the finals, they have dwindled down, just like BTR has. When we were talking about them before, they're currently in last place. There's a couple of teams like that, but the great thing about that is some other teams that I maybe never expected, like Abrupt Slayers, to step up like they've been able to, have kind of filled that gap, right? Where other teams are falling, other teams are rising to the occasion.
I mean, this is the opportunity for a lot of these teams that initially was not known for like an international stage to like make a name for themselves and to create a new legacy, which I think is great. And you're just having like the esports scene of PUBG Mobile is growing in such a way, and it's going to grow even more in like 2021 with like $40 million US in prize pool, which is absolutely insane, by the way. And the fact that like when you have the ecosystem of esports just grown so big so quickly, you got like such a big influx of new talent every single time, creating so many new teams, which will be happening in Japan, by the way, with their new entire run of like esport events over there. So I think that over time we're going to see like big teams for the next like 3-4 years that are going to be happening every single time, purely because the game is growing at such a rate that like you're always going to have new players at the top of the board. Yeah,
and something that actually I'm kind of happy you mentioned Japan there. Something that we're now starting to see is players from different regions starting to actually switch regions. We're seeing that with Cloud9 Uneven. He's actually going to Japan, which opens up the door. I don't think this is something that a lot of people expected, so I want to see what's going to happen after this tournament, because I'm pretty sure a lot of teams are waiting for this tournament to finish, for the finals to finish, and then start making changes between teams. That's something that's going to be exciting, and that's something I would highly suggest for everybody to just, if there's a player that you enjoy follow their social media, follow PUBG Mobile Esports on their social media, because the changes that are going to be coming to the scene are going to be pretty incredible.
Feels like football almost.
For real.
Yeah, or if you're from the U.S. soccer. Just gonna say that.
Get out.
Hey, I was confused for a second there. I was like, American football or like soccer football?
That's true.
I now realize you guys are two American people.
You are an American sandwich right now.
Oh, hey.
I don't know how to meet you are, but it is a good point though. Is that the more of these international tournaments with the growing scenes we have, like you're Abrupt Slayers from Nepal, right?
Yep.
If you're Zeus from Mongolia, you're bringing so much new learned techniques and like ways to play back to your region to help the whole region as a whole continue to improve and get better and better as time goes on. That's why I'm so excited to see what happens here in 2021. But I'm also excited to see what's going to happen in our next match as we're going to throw it back over to Imperium and Hot Jukes to kick it off.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to match number 4. About to get started. Of course, like Big Papa Jason just mentioned, I'm Hot Jukes here with my man Imperium, baby. We're in Dubai. Woo! Let's get it.
Let's go. Game 4 is about to get underway. We're heading back over to the original map that is Orango. We've had 3 fantastic games across 3 maps, but the thing is, our 4 angry men going to be able to repeat the process and grab a second chicken dinner of the day.
We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I mean, there's been a lot of surprises so far, I think, for sure. The biggest one, in my eyes, Bigatron. What is going on? How many, like, let me check my notes again. 5 points so far? I mean, I had to double check that and really look closely. I mean,
I know, right?
I could almost put the house on that they would have been in at least top 5.
Top 5.
5
know,
points halfway through through day 1. That's pretty insane.
It is, but they are BTR for a reason. They have a legacy, a reputation for a reason, right? Yes, they didn't win the league stage, but when you look back at last year's World Championship, when you look back at the PMWL East, there's a reason why they came out on top. I'm sure coming towards the end of today, coming into day 2, day 3, day 4, we will see a much better, revitalized BTR. But when you're talking about surprises, I think one of the biggest surprises as well, in a positive way, has to be Abrupt Slayers. Currently in 5th position, won the game on Miramar pretty confidently, bar the circles going in their favor. And yeah, okay, I would put them as a top 5 potential team, but this early into the tournament, they're setting themselves up, baby.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, the big difference now about the finals. Number 1, prize pool, first place $700,000, big money. But also the fact that every single game is so crucial. Only 4 days worth of matches here, so you gotta show up and you gotta get it done right here, right now. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we got the playing path. The players are locked, they're loaded. And as you can see, a nice little, north to south playing path here on the west side.
Yeah, but it's on the west side, so for any team looking to drop and move on over to the eastern side, like Kanina Power, like BTR, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So knowing where those spawn points for the vehicles are going to be ever so important. Maybe if you do have a second drop spot, like in the Primorsk area or on the western coastal line, it might be better to opt towards that area. Other than that, it's just a matter of just teams settling down, finding their drop spot, and getting that loot built up.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, baby. And you can see right now, A1 heading off first off the plane over to Severny. They're going to be getting some nice clean loot up there on the north side. Like you mentioned, man, every single time you have your plane path drop away from you, you got to be careful about those vehicle spawns, because if you have another team drop on it, we could see some runovers happen. But at the end of the day, this is the finals. A lot of these squads have been putting in a lot of research, studying where these different teams land, and man, you want to avoid early engagements as much as you possibly can.
And even when you take into
baby,
I love the fact that I get cut off by a disgusting circle on phase 1. This is a military island circle, pretty much. Okay, it does cover a lot of the mainland, but what that does do is that allows for the teams that have landed up north, like A1, 4AM, even Alpha 7. What they can do is they can rotate once they've looted up on the eastern side by prison shelter area and come in around Milta, and they'll be much better settled and out of trouble coming into phase 1.
I'll tell you that, but you know what that allows? It allows footballers to squeal for joy, because what I talked about earlier, you might see some runovers, and it looks like we might catch one right now. But it looks like they opt to let that member from Konina Power live? I mean, frozen must be, his heart must be frozen right now. Adrenaline at an all-time high, man. He's running for his life, and looks like he may be headed for Razak, as you can see the back of his shirt. But man, what a way to start this match off.
And I think that was quite wise from footballers, because sometimes it can be, you can get so caught up with the potential of like getting an early kill that you forget about, oh wait, we need to loot up, we need to get the advantage, right? And footballers, what they could do is they could actually rotate and shift all the way over to Novo, which was one of their previous drop spots. So they would be very confident looting up in that area.
Well, we'll see right now if it doesn't, you know, backfire on them a little bit, because we do see a couple of members from Konina Power roll up, and it's just Lavazin. Now, he does have this Scorpion and Shotgun. I don't think Black White has anything on him right now. So these guys are just getting started looting. Oh, with the shotty, baby, to start things off straight to the face. Hello. This, I'm in the building. I'm in the building right now, and it looks like Axer, he's caught off guard as well.
Left Freedom Rain with a shotgun blast, and then it's another shotgun play, and Salke picks things up, and first couple of kills for footballers to start this game, and not to be sniffed at.
I mean, they got to be pumped up. I mean, they did end up, you know, leaving one of the players from Konina Power alive. And that was their warning, I think. And Konina Power didn't listen. Still headed deep into Military Island. Footballers said, hey, this is our house, baby. And they showed them how to get it done here at the start. We're starting to see some teams try to figure out these rotations. A lot of early shots here. I mean, man, military circles. Always a lot of action, baby. Always.
It is also just hampered by such a harsh playing path where we're seeing teams kind of cluster together initially. Zeus, Power Triple Eight, and Navi all around the North George area, and then you have DA, you know, Abrupt Slayers, and even Nova around down on the western side of this phase 1, and you have A1, 4AM, and Alpha around on the north. So, you know, cluster teams for now, but as we look to see them hopefully settle down in these drop spots, like I said, they will grab their composure. Solus, though, does spot a couple of the Abrupt Slayers players.
Yeah, Cost, Digital Athletics, they've been killing it so far. Currently in first place, really split up. Yeah, Solus always running that off angle. But here comes Crazy, their #1 fragger on the buggy, getting caught by that off angle. Silas is. And Shari's going to be able to jump on out with that Uzi, and they're going to shut that push down really quick. So, I mean, a great start to the tournament so far, but here in match number 4, looks like they're going to have to survive with a duo. But hey, Solus, you got a couple shots off there.
That was a massive mistake in my eyes for Silas and Ray Z, because Solus got information on that rotation by Abrupt Slayers into Ferry Pier area. There was no need for Class 2 send to their players in so heavy without communicating what I presume was a lack of communication with Solus. They could have actually gotten that pincer movement by using Solus to gather more information and go for a much more calculated engagement.
I mean, they could be feeling themselves. I mean, they've been crushing it so far, so maybe they're like, hey, you know what? Let's just push it on over. But at the same time, you gotta respect these teams. I mean, we got the best on the planet playing here. I mean, if you just get a little lazy on just one player, we've seen some 1v4s happen in the past, so we'll definitely see how these teams opt to make these adjustments going on. Nova heading on over to Military Circle, able to get through that bridge relatively safe, but oh, Order catching Kingzo, trying to do a pit maneuver. Oh, switches seats with the Thompson, puts a couple shots onto him. Looks like they're gonna let him take off on his merry way, though. That was a close one.
If that was any other vehicle, I reckon he still would have died, because as much as another vehicle would have given him more protection, that bike is super fast on acceleration,
100%.
right? So he was able to just get out of the line of sight of those shots. But BTR Zuxi is going to come in, gets one knock, gets a second knock, and that's 2 kills for BTR.
That's huge. They needed this. I mean, they definitely need to get some early kills to kind of get that momentum going, to get a little bit more confidence, because, I mean, the way they started off this tournament, it's pretty relatively shocking, at least in my eyes. But match number 4, this is a really good turning point to kind of show up, and we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. And as we look on over, we're seeing these teams still getting looted up. One thing, I know you guys can't tell right now, but on the map, 4 AM coming all the way from the north side. Never mind, yeah, 4 AM getting caught by A1 Esports. Wrong building, sir. Wrong building.
And that was purely down to a slow rotation from 4 AM outside of Yasnaya, because you got to think, A1, they dropped in Severny. In theory, they should have been behind 4 Angry Men, but because they rotated earlier, they were able to catch him. Not before Suk does get a cheap kill for his troubles.
Sook, I mean, with that DP, these guys are so good using that weapon from long range, just absolute laser beams. And I think that at the same time, I mean, A1 is still pretty north of this circle. I just think
That's fair.
I think 4AM just like, hey, there's no way there's going to be a squad here in these buildings, but hey, you gotta scout.
The unexpected.
Yeah, constantly. I mean, especially with this much money on the line, only a few matches to play, can't make any mistakes. But it looks like we got a nice bow tape, baby, from Power Triple H. Shout out to my man Mustache Dave. You know that we love them bow tapes, but dude, this is what I'm talking about.
I always remember the first thing that really surprised me in a positive way when it came to boat rotations were Team Queso.
Oh yeah.
Back in 2019, the prelims in Berlin. And ever since then, I've kind of always looked out for a team that's not afraid to pull out a nice, clean, classy botation. And especially with the military island phase 1, there's a much higher chance that the southern part of the island, untouched, unscouted, unlooted, unbooted, and Power AAA taking advantage of that.
Got to be real careful, though. I mean, that boat, it's like 9 bullets, and that thing is exploded. So you'll see, like, if a player even hears a shot comes at that boat, everybody jumps out. But it looks so far, I know you guys can't see it right now watching, but it looks like they're going to be able to make a decent rotation. But hey, we got a second boat tape. Looks like coming from Navi. And at the end of the day, I can't really blame them. I mean, especially considering you got to know that those bridges are completely locked up.
I think that might be too late, though.
That's true. They are already behind right now.
Like, it comes to a point, that threshold of a boat rotation where it kind of goes from good to bad is very fine. We'll have to see how it works out. Phase 2 pops up. It centers up quite nicely, but what is actually quite good for the teams is that it still stays down south with like 90% of the circle on the military island.
Yeah, I love to see this cam right now as we're watching a race with the boats, baby. A boat racing simulator right here, right now live. And full squads, I mean, just rocking this strategy. Sook got a little boat on his lonesome over here, just trying to play it safe. I mean, we're seeing all the strats being pulled out here at the PMGC.
Looking at where teams are currently positioned, Alpha 7, who has been noted on the analyst desk, have kind of opted to go for the edges circle positions and maybe relying too heavily on kills, are still actually in the blue. They're nowhere near the northern edge of this circle. I fear that's going to once again hurt them at the end result of this game.
Yeah, you're going to have to be able to pull off some massive kills, but you got to get those results, those final placements as well. But then again, I mean, this tournament, 24 matches total, so you know, if you're able to get a good couple chicken dinners, that's going to be brutal. But we'll see right now is Order putting down some fire onto RRQ. They don't have a boat. They wouldn't be one right now if they even had one, as you got to watch out for that DP. But they're just trying to sneak their way, swim on way into this military circle.
Kunina Power down to 1 player. Gonzo's left standing. But the members of Footballists are surrounding him and swarming him like flies to light as Rom dips down with the buggy. He might not know Gonzo's there, actually.
Yeah, snake in the grass, something you always have to worry about. Ram is going to be able to get this loot. They do have 3 kills to start off this match, so they're feeling off pretty well. 2 on the side of Kunina Power, as we saw at the initial drop, and it is just gone. Oh, what?
Oh, my
Loot
I know.
with the vehicle. Oh, if he would have killed them with that vehicle, that would have been insane. But Gonzo, he heard that, and he is just staring in that direction. He is just holding this dip for dear life.
Like, the Zen mentality required to not fire shots in this situation, even though you are the last player standing on your team, it requires more than you think, right? You know, and I think as an ex-pro player, you would understand this a bit more. It's natural for a player to want to shoot right, to want to get those shots off and get that knockdown, but when you're on your own, you have to stay composed.
That trigger discipline, you gotta have it, and especially considering that, you know, he's on his lonesome right now. Even if he gets a knock and thirst, the rest of that squad's gonna come in hot to get that finish. So opting to play it safe for now, can't blame him. We'll see the rest of these squads try to figure out their way in. We still have a few teams have not made it yet into the military circle. Alpha 7, they're coming in really late from the north side. A1 holding that bridge on the east side right now, and it looks like that bridge is clear. But at the same time, I mean, you always got to be careful. You never want to get bridge camped.
They will want to scout this a little bit, even if it's just for 30 seconds, send a player over. Possibly, even though they're down to 3 players, even just to send a player over and make sure it's all clear across the way. Gonzo has been able to survive as footballers up to play for the central area before this next circle pops up. Navi, Power Triple Eight, they both survived the botations.
Yeah, and you can see right there, RX Jax did hop in the boat over there on the side, so they're trying to scout it out and play it real careful as A1, I'm sorry. And look at this circle rotation. Imperium, tell me all about it.
Man, pretty much all the teams that were looking good inside the previous circle are looking good in this circle. It's clustered over to the west side. It does hurt Team Seeker, who are still in the mainland. RQ also might get punished unless the teams are in front of them get distracted as football is looking for the side of Navi.
Oh, look at this. Shots going all over the place. Rom wide out in the open. Haven't hit that lay down behind that bug. He needs to get out of here, though. Yeah, unfortunately, just stuck out of position. Is going to get pieced up by Navi and thirsted here.
And that, to me, that was kind of footballers just taking a rotation that they didn't know about.
Yeah, that's a really tough one, though. It looks like Solke. It isn't Sunday. He's going to have to hold it down, though, with that Uzi. 1 HP, trying to pull up some shenanigans. Oh, throws the Molotov. Gets the nice little burn there onto Zeus, but Zeus coming in hot, baby. They're going to get that finish on the footballers.
Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. Nice play by Zeus. Hey, their team that really have had a very progressive set of games so far without really sparkling. So if they can just kind of stay working on this effort, I really think they'll get more strong results.
Yeah, right now, Bigatron, they're set up really pretty right now. Micro Boy, I mean, just not even holding his gun, just playing it really, really passive. These guys need to put some points on the board as soon as they possibly can. Ryzen doing the same thing. We're starting to see some action, though, on that bridge. A1 with the Dante with a great shot there onto Senatexa. This is zone number 3. It's starting to hurt a little bit. And he is going to get that first aid, get these confirms. I mean, every point is just so critical, so crucial in these finals. And Dante, I got a chance to talk to A1. Dante, he's their main fragger, and he's the first one in the building, and he's also a Thumbs player. Thumbs Gyroscope. You don't see that very often coming from your Russia on your squad, but man, he's doing a damn good job so far.
As are the whole of A1, right? They're the sole representatives of Bangladesh. The first time a Bangladesh team has been at a major PUBG Mobile tournament. So joy Bangla to them as they look to fight their way into the top of the overall standings, one game at a time.
I love that ejection as well. I mean, he got that confirmed, got that point, said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take on off, get to zone. And they're going to be able to make it out alive so far. But right now, looking at the map, we're starting to see Abrupt Slayers getting a little bit of action with Team Secret. RQ rolled up onto Bigatron. And did D2E get that 2-piece right there?
Fantastic play by RQ, but I will say it was off the back of BTR being distracted by the likes of Aero Wolf in front of him, maybe not expecting a team to be coming from the coastal line beside him, but you got to surprise. You got to be able to prepare for that. And BTR, once again, looking a little bit slow on these circle shifts to react to them.
I'm surprised. I mean, they're playing this super passive. I mean, usually we see them when they have this kind of zone just play a little bit more aggressive. But, I mean, RRQ, I mean, that is nothing but an aggressive squad. So they're going to push you if they catch you slipping. And that's exactly what they did. Next zone, going on up to the nice little north shift, back into the mountainside. So we're going to go ahead a little bit further away from military base. It's going to be interesting to see these squads set up here.
And it's going to be so important for Airwolf to join up as a full squad in the center of this phase because they'll want to create a metaphorical controlling area around them. Abrupt Slayers down to one, Cherry thrown down. He's going to get taken out, and U-High, boy, rocks up high, grabs that final kill. Abrupt Slayers are out of here.
U-High getting it done right. Love to see that from Team Secret. Moving on over, Dante just came from that bridge. Ooh, what a spray right there. Catching just the tip of the head of Corpai, getting him knocked down. You know, he's got to be feeling himself after that one. And at the same time, they got to get into zone, get a secure position, and gatekeep the heck out of Power Triple Eight. You know that's what's on their mind.
Plus they've also got to recognize 4AM and Alpha 7 playing along this area as well. A1 a little bit split off of 4M. They don't seem to really know where they want to go on this entryway into the circle.
Yeah, this reminds me of that Miramar match. You know, they kind of got caught out of position. They're kind of riding that blue. They love to go ahead and just hug that circle, go to that hard shift side where it's normally open. But at the same time, this is zone 4. That Papa Blue starts chunking you. And oh, 6-9, snaking his way, getting caught by Alpha 7. Dante, looks like it's all up to him to figure this one out for his team.
See, here's the thing. What's all around him is pretty much open, bar a few up and downhill areas. So really, you got to stay prone down and hope for the best on this next circle shift. The Team Seeker spray up and look for the members of Nova.
King just looks like the barely make it out of alive, and just like that, Paraboy and the rest of his squad able to get some nice suppressive fire to give his teammate a chance to survive, but they are definitely starting to get pinched right now. One thing you got to give it to Nova, they're so good at playing separate. I mean, there's synergy just to be able to get those comms and get that support, second to none.
And keep up as a full squad as well on the western side of this phase 4. Looking pretty good. They have a hillside all to themselves. Team Secret maybe could have breached on that area in vehicles rather than going for the shots on the outside. They could get pinched up in the end. Zeus looking down on the southwest of this phase 4 on the edge of the circle. As DA just send their final 2 players much closer to the center of the circle.
Starting to see a lot of these teams, you know, just group up in these locations. Right now, looking at Airwolf, Limax, they're dead center of the zone. Full squad up. This could be a good opportunity for them to put some points on the board, but you got to be able to hit those shots. Team Secret playing this really tight. No catch order, a little bit pressed up. He's getting some great support from his squad, though, and he's got that Thompson in hand as well. Matt Toy with the jump shots. You know, he knows how to get that done. And right now, it's up to them to be able to finally press onto Nova. But, man, they're doing a great job of defending themselves right now.
Nova has King in the back line, just providing that suppressing support. So if Team Secret rock up over the lip of that hill, even an inch, King is ready to just take those headshots off. So really, Team Secret are at the back end of it. They're by the blue zone. They've got a couple of smokes that they're able to utilize. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is nearing the end of Team Secret's game 4.
The amount of synergy you have to pull that kind of split push up from Nova is ridiculous, and they're doing it perfectly right now. Order getting that information. You know, he hopes he has some more nades to his hands right now to be able to get some good kit onto Team Secret, but they are going to be holding this position. A lot of smokes. They still have that dossier. They can definitely make it out of this, but the zone. Oh, what a shift, Imperium.
And what's so important for Nova is because it's shifted down south where they're going to have quite an easy entry point into this phase 5, they got to close out this engagement quickly, and they send Jimmy forward closer to the northwestern edge of the circle just to gather a little bit of information. So that's great teamwork and great preparation from the Nova boys.
And we're seeing these squads get a move on it real quick. Team Secret almost shoulder to shoulder right now, putting on that suppressive fire to Nova. They got to be able to get these shots off so they can get a position inside this circle. But man, with this kind of zone, Imperium, there's no cover here. I mean, this is all open field. You got to hit some mad shots if you want to take this chicken dinner home.
On a side note,